Oof, grass, the devil's lettuce. It goes by many names. But today we're going to dive deep into the evolution of people who choose to indulge. People who open up their CB1 receptors and let the green goblin gas take over. From a potential puffer's first time, all the way up to the dreaded status of penjamin zombie. Told the doctor I'm a healthy kid, I smoke broccoli. Now, that line definitely isn't medical advice. Sure, medical cannabis exists, but smoking anything isn't great for your lungs. And let's be honest, Kodak Black probably isn't sparking up to treat back pain or ADHD. Anyway, let's break down the evolution of a smoker in a scientific and educational way, from that first potentially hitting a penjamin 24/7 and why you really don't want it to get that far. We'll also look at the tipping point when shifts from a controlled though unhealthy little vice to a full-blown mental addiction. Plus, we'll ask how much can be a part of your lifestyle without becoming destructive. Kind of like alcohol. Sure, it can be harmful, but if you're just having a few drinks once a week, who am I to judge? Everyone's journey is different, but there's one thing we all share: the first time. Every master starts here. Whether it was a planned, yo, let's try weed moment with your best friend, or a casual, why not? The first smoke sets the tone for your evolution. That first experience matters. Some people try it once, geek out way too hard, and never touch it again. Others feel nothing and keep experimenting until it hits, and some enjoy the buzz right away and decide they want more. For me, at first nothing, then a couple more puffs and I was super high for like 30 seconds, then back to normal. Everyone's different, but if you had a positive first experience, odds are you'll climb higher on the evolution ladder, which brings us to the casual smoker. Here's the first real step. You're smoking knowingly now, maybe on weekends, at a party, or chilling in your buddy Steve's man cave. You're not sure why exactly. Maybe it's because weed chills you out without the hangover of alcohol, or because it makes the world feel just a little more magical. At this point, weed isn't routine. You don't have your own stash, you treat it like an event. And the best part, you remember every high. 5 hours of Smash Bros and a family-sized pizza? Legendary. Wandering the suburbs baked? Iconic. Honestly, this stage is the sweet spot. Casual smoking is usually less harmful than drinking every weekend. Plus, it makes it so that almost every high is a memorable night. But chances are, eventually you'll evolve into the routine toker. Now, you're smoking more regularly. Not just with friends, but at the end of the day. You light up before a walk, chores, or just relaxing. You know it's bad for your lungs and that it makes you lazy, but in your mind, the juice is worth the squeeze. By now, you're learning the basics. Strains, THC percentages, different methods. Maybe you've got some papers in a tray. You know a bowl hits harder and faster for those stare at the wall eating ramen nights, while a joint gives you a smoother, longer high for a walk around the park. At this stage, the high starts to feel less like a novelty and more like a tool. You can use it for deep convos, crazy observations, or even philosophy hour with your buddies. Where once you were just giggling at Shrek and demolishing Ben & Jerry's, now you might be debating the political and economic state of the world. Jaden Smith would be proud. You're not quite rocking a tinfoil hat ranting about Mark Zuckerberg being a reptile, but you wouldn't be mad if someone else brought it up, which means you're creeping towards the casual stoner. This is where the mindset really shifts. You're no longer just an evening toker, sometimes you're sparking up during the day too. It's becoming part of your everyday life. At this point, you've probably Googled weed's medical benefits. You read that it might help with anxiety, ADHD, or stress, and suddenly you're asking yourself, am I smoking because I like it or because I need it? Maybe you've always been more prone to enjoying it. Maybe it's your way of easing anxiety. You don't know for sure, but one day you're packing your 5th bowl in 2 hours and your homie looks at you like, yo bro, maybe you should cool it on the Zaza. This is a pivotal moment. Your response determines everything. Do you laugh it off and actually cool it? Or do you lean back, exhale, and drop the undefeated line, bro, it's low-key medical. If you pick the second answer, congratulations, you're on the fast track to the next stage, the daily stoner. This is a stage where things flip. Back in the casual stoner days, you smoked during the day occasionally. Now it's the other way around. You occasionally don't. Wake and bakes have become a sacred ritual. You roll out of bed with all the weight of life on your shoulders, school, your job, your investment account, and instead of tackling them sober, you think, yeah, I'll deal with all this, but I'll do it high. Alright, let's see. Investment account, I'll check the stocks tomorrow. Job? Shit, I'll just call in sick. School? Well, I'd open my laptop, but the battery's dead. Guess I'll charge it while I go play Borderlands 4. Wow, what a productive morning. Got everything done in 3 minutes. That's the illusion of the daily stoner. You convince yourself, yeah, I wake and bake, but I still get stuff done. And technically you're not wrong, you do get things done, but weed warps your definition of productive. Something that would have taken you 15 minutes sober now takes an hour, and by the end of it, you feel like you just worked a 12-hour shift. Progress is still happening, just at a snail's pace. The bigger issue, your tolerance is climbing to skyscraper levels, because, well, you don't always aim to get obliterated during the day, you still blow yourself to orbit at night. Combine that with a dulled work ethic and suddenly you're spending record high amounts of money on weed while earning less, because let's face it, you're prioritizing a chill lifestyle over hustle. And if you keep leaning into that chill side, sliding further and further down, you'll wake up one day and realize you've officially crossed into full-blown stoner. Water versus weed. Which one's more important? The obvious answer is water, but the fact that you hesitated, even for a millisecond, and thought, wait, no weed? Yeah, that's the sign. You've officially evolved into the full-blown stoner. This is where my own experience starts to taper off, because I never made it this far myself, but from what I've seen, the difference between a daily stoner and a full-blown stoner is subtle, yet massive. The daily stoner still believes they're enhancing life with weed, using it to make something boring bearable or something fun even better. At this stage though, that illusion is gone. Here, being high is the baseline, the normal state. No more, oh shit, I'm too high moments. No more novelty, no more magic. What used to feel like a rocket launch now just feels like existing. And while that might sound chill, it comes with a heavy trade-off. The wonder of the Zaza has faded, the excitement that made it special is gone, and in its place is a quiet dependency. Weed stops being a semi-unhealthy vice you choose and becomes the silent addiction you can't imagine life without. This right here is the turning point. Some people never get past it. Some people catch themselves and scale back, but if you don't, there's one final grim stage of evolution waiting ahead, and it's a place you really don't want to end up. The penjamin zombie. Wake up, penjamin. Eat breakfast, penjamin. Clock in at school or work, penjamin. Light up again, penjamin. Repeat! Life becomes a loop, a hazy carousel that never stops spinning. The world feels like it's moving in slow motion, like you're stuck on a never-ending train ride with foggy windows, and the destination, nowhere good. Usually a one-way track toward burnout, paranoia, or full-blown psychosis if you don't slam the brakes, brah. By this stage, there's no wonder in weed anymore. No spark, no giggles, no creativity. Honestly, you don't even like it anymore. It's not fun, it's just what you do, like brushing your teeth or scrolling your phone. It's become automatic, a reflex. You smoke not to elevate, but to avoid the emptiness of sobriety. And that's the saddest part. The plant that once made music sound richer, food taste better, and sunsets glow brighter has been stripped of all its charm. Now it's just fuel for a fading engine. You're not living with weed anymore, you're surviving through it. At this point, you're not a stoner, not even a daily stoner. You've devolved into the penjamin zombie, permanently hazed, always chasing the next puff, yet never really getting anywhere. But hey, you can always just cool it off the Zaza and get back to where it was fun again, like being a casual. Moderation is key, remember that. The first high. I think most of us remember our first time inhaling the Zaza, cause for the unlucky few who got hit with that paranoid pack and started bugging out like that Szechuan sauce dude at McDonald's, they probably wrote off the grass as an unholy manifestation of the devil himself. For me, my first sight was a truly enlightening moment, as I ain't no dum-dum, so I took the proper precautions to ensure I wasn't gonna be laying on the bed having flashbacks cause my mom came home and wanted me to do some chores or something. But anyway, the first time high experience is different for everybody, but it always starts with the securing of the bag. Now, depending on how old you were and where you live, this part of the first high was either the easiest or the most stressful, because nowadays mofos can go to a damn tree and acquire the holiest and strongest grass in the universe like a damn candy bar. But back in the Wild West, you had to deal with these dudes called plugs. And if you were just a normal kid buying an illegal item from some dude named Spider, it was really scary. Like me and my homies always imagined they'd be all tattooed up, packing heat in every pocket, looking like Mike Tyson when he got out of jail. In reality, they were usually just normal dudes trying to make a quick buck. And also, now that I'm older, I've kind of realized all these plugs with tattoos and nicknames like Scorpion or some shit were literally just wannabe thugs who just listened to a bit too much UK drill and made it their whole personality overnight. But anyway, once you secured the bag, you had to move on to setting the time and place. Now, if you had a friend with his own crib or with parents who frequently left the house unattended, this was easy, but if not, well, that's where a lot of these bad trips happened. Mofos were fiending to get high so bad, a lot of them decided, fuck it, let's just get high at school, or something crazy like that. And let me tell you, you gotta mentally be David Goggins if you get high for the first time at school and don't start tweaking. Even after I had smoked up a good amount, I still didn't consider getting high at school a chill experience. It was a mission every single time. Like, however calm you thought you were, all it took was one...
Mr. C, can you tell me the answer to question 14, please?
Yeah, sure. So, question 14, well, the answer...
Excuse me, Mr. C, are you on something?
Well, shit. Juvie it is, I guess. But hey, I do know dudes who did this for their first and survived. And big props to them, just couldn't be me, and I don't recommend it be you either. Another popular option, which was kind of in the middle, was just getting faded outside at the park on a weekend or something. This was much more chill, but the problem of randoms walking around and the fear of getting an unexpected call from your parents or something was still quite prevalent. Also, another downside, coma is quite easily catchable. So if you puffed on that Zaza for too long, you might have gotten a bad trip because you got glued to the park bench. Speaking of puffing for too long, choosing the amount. Last part, but arguably the most important, is obviously choosing the size of the portion. Now, depending on your friends and if they were heads or not, they could have told you anything from
yeah, man, so a good first hit is this entire 1 gram spliff. Inhale it all and you should feel something.
to...
So yeah, this molecule should be enough for your first time. It's got a good amount of atoms in it.
In reality, it's somewhere in the middle, cause being it's your first time, your tolerance doesn't exist yet, so even smelling some premium wood might have gotten you high. Then again, if the stuff wasn't premium, you might have been left disappointed at barely feeling anything and writing it off as,
yeah, I'm just built different, I guess. It don't work on me.
And actually, for some reason, a lot of dudes don't feel anything their first time, including me. I always imagined there being some wall of defense in my body, and with every hit, it got weaker, until finally it broke and opened the floodgates for the green magic to flow through. But there is a final step that a lot of people forget to do, and that is enjoying the high. So yeah, don't try to control it, flow with it. You get me? Especially if you are alone. And also, my first time was alone. The types of drivers in high school. As we know, a lot of people get their license during this period, which evokes a sense of godhood in a kid, especially if their parents buy them some beat up old Mustang or Chevy Impala, which they can flex on their friends with. You're probably gonna get addicted to nicotine just by being in it. All these guys think they look like a mafia boss, cause they drive with one hand on the wheel and the other gripping their vape. But I gotta give it to him. Even though I don't really vape or anything, there is something about sucking on that cancer stick while driving that makes you feel like a total Chad. Just put on that Peaky Blinders song and you're done. Hey yo man, we got some business to attend to, you get me?
You mean picking your mom up from her yoga class?
I mean yeah, but it doesn't sound cool when you put it like that now does it?
Yeah, true.
Let's go! Number 3. The overly confident one. I think the best way to explain this one is with a story. So, it's summer and we're driving to this festival. Now, the driver, let's call him Edward, loaned his dad's van for this excursion. As we are driving, it starts raining, but it doesn't seem to affect him because he just keeps cruising at the speed limit. Now, here's where the overconfidence kicks in. We get to the city and it's still pouring, so I tell Edward he should probably drive really slow because his van's brakes were kind of broken, and well, it's raining. Which he proceeds to explain how he drives however he wants and that a man should drive with confidence. And I kid you not, 3 minutes later we were on this slope which at the end was a red light where cars were stood still, and instead of deaccelerating slowly, my man was going 40 miles per hour down this watery ass road when I panicked and said, "Bro, chill, you're gonna crash." When he was like, "Ah shit, you're right," and proceeded to slam the brakes, but it didn't work because of aquaplaning. Pretty much his tires weren't even touching the road, and he just slid like 20 miles per hour and crashed into a Nissan. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but sadly, Edward did not learn his lesson and is still a menace on public roads to this day. Number 4. The car guy. I love the car guy, not because I think they're cool or even respect their knowledge of cars, it's actually that I find them hilarious, in high school at least. The reason being, they always got some weird modified BMW or Mercedes talking about pound-feet of torque, turbocharged 2-liter olive oil engine. Like bro, I get that you modified your car, but I'm not a car guy, so all I see is a hunk of junk from the scrapyard that can single-handedly intoxicate the air in the parking lot. Funny part about him is even though they are constantly working on their car, it's always broken. The car guys I know have never been like, yeah bro, nothing I gotta do, it's all working perfectly. It's always something like, yeah, the right combustor needs a retweak I think, and the engine valves need to be sucked. And my girlfriend left me. Oh damn, sorry bro. Nah, the right combustor shouldn't take too long, and the engine valves will do for now. Nah, I meant your girlfriend, man. Aw, her? Ugh, never liked that hoe anyway, you know. I just have sex with my car now. Okay, bro. Anyway, let's move on to number 6. The taxi. Man, I love this guy. He the one who always got your back when you need a ride. Dude loves to drive and he'll gladly help a fellow homie out if he needs to be chauffeured. He'll never ask for any money, but you should pay him every now and again, cause if you don't, they'll probably start feeling like you using them and start ghosting you. A lot of people who just got their license are the taxi, cause in the beginning everybody loves to drive, until you know, their parents start to notice that every 2 days the gas tank is magically empty. But a truly caring taxi man will get a part-time job just to finance his 100 miles of driving around the same streets every day. The plug and the taxi go hand in hand, cause a lot of times when the plug's car is broken or he too faded to drive, the taxi will gladly help him venture through the city. Shit, all you gotta do now is throw the vape lord in the car and you got yourself a scene straight out of Blue Story. Anyway, time for the last one. Number 7. The rich kid. This guy drives like royalty. Bro's parents are loaded, so dude never pulls up with anything that's even 2 years old. I'm not saying that all these guys are snobs though, cause I know a lot of rich kids who know that they haven't earned it and just wanna hang out with everybody else. But I've also met a rich kid who constantly flexes with daddy's money, and it's honestly funny to hear it, cause they be thinking that everybody respects him for it, when in reality, he's just a laughingstock of the group. But one piece of advice, be friends with this guy. Whether or not he's stuck up doesn't matter. These guys be throwing the craziest parties with the hottest chicks, so yeah, use that to your advantage. Every type of driver on this list is special in their own way. Me personally, I was probably the one who shouldn't have a driver's license, as I crashed my first 2 cars. But shit, you live and you learn, and nowadays I'm a master of the drift through my expeditions into Assetto Corsa and Sims racing. The wake and bake is a legendary art form created by humans of the highest intellect. The act of waking from one slumber and immediately entering into Yodi land is a sacred practice known only to the chillest of creatures. There has been a lot of controversy in the meaning of wake and bake. Some say it can only truly be called the holy practice if one smokes up immediately after awakening from dreamland. Others, including myself, believe it is not necessary to sleep next to your crusty last cleaned in 2007 smelling like a rotting can of tuna ass piece of glass. Cause I don't know about you, but personally I like to start my mornings off with something nice, like a coffee or some bacon and eggs, not the taste of water in my mouth whilst coughing my lungs out. I believe a true connoisseur won't partake in such barbaric activities and will at least put some pants on before smoking that doozy. Now, if you ever participated in the wake and bake, you will know that it hits differently than, let's say, an evening bake, but only if you got the whole day free, cause the Zaza will amplify your excitement for the coming day, or until you eat breakfast and pass out on your bed. Back in summer, I used to bake after the wake quite a bit. It was always really nice to just go outside to the warm sun while smoking that morning pack. And bro, don't get me started on those breakfast munchies. I'm usually the guy to only drink coffee or something for breakfast, but that early morning grass gets me on that Nicotine avocado pack, I swear.
Bro, how much are you going to eat?
Everything. And after a delightful breakfast like that, how can you be anything but energized? Nah, in reality, after destroying 2,000 calories of Twinkies, you're probably gonna pass out in 20 minutes. But that's why after the first couple times, I created the 3 golden rules of a productive wake and bake. Number 1. Don't have a demonic ritual that involves you sacrificing 15 hot pockets in your stomach. But you just said that the breakfast munchies are nice. Yeah, they are, but you have to treat the massive breakfast kind of like drinking alcohol. So you gotta understand the sacrifice you are making by having that giant breakfast. You are effectively done for the day, as you will most likely fall right back to sleep after, and then when you do wake up from your 3-hour morning nap, you'll feel all hazy and bad, cause you just wasted your whole day. You lazy piece of shit. So if you wanna avoid that, don't wake in money. Number 2. Make a plan the night before. Have goals set for the day. Basic stuff like buy groceries, maybe work out, hang with some friends, stuff like that. Cause when you have a plan the night before, you are much less likely to just sleep the whole day and then at night feel like a lazy fat tub of lard. But also keep in mind, you are supposed to have fun on a wake and bake, so don't make the objectives too hard cause you're probably just not gonna do them then. Some of my favorite wake and bake activities include going to the gym, playing a team sport, playing a story game, bathing in the sun, going to the store, hanging out with the homies, etc. Anyway, time for the last rule, which is number 3. Don't get obliterated on the wake and bake. So this one is kinda obvious, but important nonetheless. It might seem like a great idea to get zoinked up to max on your first hit, but in reality, all that will do is spoil the plans you set the night before. Cause no matter how productive of a smoker you are, when you're faded to the max, there is about a 95% chance you'll tell yourself, ugh, whatever, I'll do it tomorrow. Which once evening rolls around, will hit you with that existential depression. And the only way to escape from that is with the purest form of productivity. We've all had it, we all know it. 2 a.m. motivation.
The drugs, the cigarettes, that dumb bitch. It all starts fucking today, alright? No more fucking excuses. This is the year of the fucking soldier.
And I mean, even though who doesn't love a bit of midnight motivation, it won't get you anywhere in the long term, and really is usually just a sign of doing nothing useful during the day. But hey, if you follow these 3 golden rules, I'm sure your future wake and bakes will be much more productive and fun. At least I hope so. The plug, a holy being that will always be there for you, especially when you don't need him, and also occasionally when you do. And because I don't live in the fancy America, where all the big vloggers and TikTokers are, I still rely on the plug for my Zaza. But after years of buying from different plugs, I always wondered how much money do these guys actually make and what are the requirements to be successful in the profession? Well, finally, after the introduction of a new, scientifically enhanced type of grass, HHC, I kinda got the answer to these questions, and I'ma be honest with you, it ain't what I expected. As I said before, it all started with the introduction of the so-called new and improved Zaza, HHC. And because it was new and regulations had not been set, even in my Stone Age country where an 18-year-old can buy a liter of vodka and drink himself to death, or just get hammered and get the sudden urge to call out the 6'5" undefeated heavyweight MMA fighter at the club because, well, when he sees red, bodies start dropping. Anyway, since this was legal and I am a law-abiding citizen who wouldn't even dare to jaywalk, I thought to myself, this is the perfect moment to see what being the plug is all about. Furthermore, because most dudes in this country don't know anything about strains, hash, bud, and just take whatever the plug has, I didn't need to worry about people thinking I scammed them. Also, your boy conducted a thorough inspection of this new product, using only the most delicate and scientific tools possible. Oh, okay, I hit that shit through a Red Bull canning. It kicked pretty nicely, so I dubbed it Verified Lab. After securing half an ounce of the Verified Lab, which is 14 grams in European tongue, I went to work on finding customers. And obviously the best place to start is on Snapchat. So I took a picture of the Zaza with the caption, $15 per gram, hit me up. Which is a steal, because, well, it sold for 20 a G here. And unfortunately, I only got one sale, cause I guess most of the people who I knew smoke Verified Lab were plugs themselves and knew of the existence of HHC and that it's like $6 a gram. But I was still determined to flip them packs and make them racks, so I hit up the most trustworthy plug I knew who actually had people in his contacts who smoked Verified Lab, but were not in the business of trapping themselves. After a thorough business meeting where we may or may not have smoked the grass ourselves, he conducted that the gas I had was indeed worthy of the title Verified Lab, and offered to buy it all for $12 a gram, which, I mean, I got it for 8.5, so I obviously said yes. At first I thought that was all. I made a nice profit of about $40 and was feeling good. But after about 2 days, I got a message from the plug I conducted business with reading, "Bro, that shit sold out quick. Can you order more? I think I can actually sell this stuff for 25 a G, cause people want the same stuff real bad. Now, I think you are currently pondering two questions. Why didn't he just order more himself? And how the hell did these dudes not know it was HHC? Well, the reason he didn't order more himself is quite simple. He is a full-time OG plug, so dudes does not have a bank account to order stuff. And to answer the second question, I truly don't know. I couldn't really believe it myself, but I guess most owners really don't give a fuck about news and staying up to date with it. In the words of the great plug himself, these dudes just wanna get as f***ed up as possible. They don't know nothing about no THC, HHC, CBD, BBC, NBA, MMA, nothing. Anyway, it all sounds great, right? Everybody loves the verified lab and are willing to pay premium for it. Plus, it's all technically legal and I don't even need to sell it myself. Well, it would have been, but there were two problems that made it a bit more sketch. You see, the issue with HHC is that it's a chemically produced product. All it actually is THC with a couple extra hydrogen molecules. And through thorough research, both practical and scientifical, I found out that HHC is very unstable in nature, meaning one patch of the same strain can truly be verified lab. But then the next patch made with the exact same Zaza and same way could be some whack leftover Reggie. It's because it's very hard to control how well this hydrogen molecule binds to the THC, and not financially worth it to control the potency of each patch. So you could order that shit once and get some damn moon rock, or like the first experience I had with HHC, get some damn oregano. And the second problem was the plug I was conducting business with didn't want that risk all to himself, so I would have to cover the upfront costs of the HHC and then give it to him where he would hopefully flip it for 25 bucks a G, which I would receive 15 bucks a G and him 10. So here I was with quite the pickle of a conundrum. Should I order a whole ounce of HHC, which by buying an ounce you get the best price per gram, but I risk it being whack Reggie? Or should I just order a fourth, therefore lowering the risk of getting whack product, but also lowering the profit margins? And the conclusion I arrived at was the best of both worlds. I ordered half an ounce just like before. After receiving the good, I gave half of it to the trustworthy OG plug and waited for that passive income to roll in. But unfortunately, it was as I feared. The stuff I got this time was still good and solid, but it just wasn't the verified loud I received before. So the OG plug was having trouble marketing it as premium Zaza and lowered the price to the industry standard 20 bucks a G. But unfortunately, dudes were catching on as well, and some of them refused to buy the Zaza cause they could just order it online. Like, yeah, you can, but wouldn't you rather buy from your friendly neighborhood plug? I guess not, cause after a couple days, the OG plug sent me another message. Yo, this stuff ain't moving like before, and people catching on about the origins. I have half of the stuff left. If you want, I'll buy it out for 10 bucks a G, or just return it to you. Which I hesitantly chose the first option, so I had him just buy it out. Yet there was still the issue of the 7 Gs or so I had left, which I initially planned on flipping, but was unfortunately unable to, cause mofos knew I got that shit for pennies compared to the asking price. So I did as old plugs would do and dubbed the leftover HHC as my personal stash, and just started blazing my own product, which was kinda stupid in hindsight because a couple weeks after, HHC was illegalized, as we all knew it would be, and became a rarity in the Zaza industry. Which mofo started flipping that shit for 30 bucks a G, like goddamn, it ain't even that different from normal Zaza. Anyway, by the end of it all, I made a bit under $100 in profit, or in another metric, about 10 Gs of Zaza, which I smoked myself. So really the conclusion to my plugging experience was I got free grass, which was a bit underwhelming cause I was hoping to become the local Pablo Escobar, if you know what I mean. Moral of the story is don't get high off your own supply, or at least if you want to be a businessman. Oh, and also don't sell illegal things, cause well, this HHC was legal, so I could have technically flipped it on Facebook Marketplace or something. Mushrooms. They are famous for their mindset changing properties, but to me, they have always just been a funny fungus that makes you see stuff, until the day me and my brother decided to do something this bearded guy called the heroic dose. And well, I can now confidently say that Mario is one crazy ass motherfucker. The journey began in Amsterdam, like always, where we were going to hopefully enjoy our time in DEF CON 1, a festival so big these dudes made their own currency and segregated the population like the freaking pyramid system. Anyway, because this rager was 4 days long and we thought it would be cool to do something besides grass and drank for the whole time, we paddled our butts to a smart shop where, well, you guessed it, they sold mushrooms. But this time it was different. You see, a year ago, me and my brother did them for the first time, and because of that, we're extra cautious about the size of the portion, which led to us taking too little to truly call it a trip. We did end up mixing that shit with grass though, and it freaking blew our minds. That story is on the top right corner right now. But anyway, this time we were looking for the true experience, the type of shit that will have you questioning your very fabric of existence, cause well, we just built different like that. So as we were googling the right amount 200-pound behemoth should take to get the full experience, we stumbled upon this video of this YouTube scientist talking about what he called the heroic dose. After dividing the 10 with a 5 and multiplying that with a 69, we came to the scientific conclusion, we gotta eat a shit ton of mushrooms. And for that, we had to buy a ton. So we ended up purchasing 1 mega pack of truffles each, which is already considered a lot, but we also bought 1 extra that we were going to split to make it a ultra trip. Now, unfortunately, these truffles weren't allowed in the premises of DEF CON 1, so we did the only logical thing and hid them in the woods surrounding the festival area, which is important because this would end up making our journey 10 times more difficult. Anyway, 2 days went by of just chilling when we finally felt comfortable enough in our accommodation to decide, let's go get those goddamn mushrooms. And with that, we started our 10-mile hike to secure them things. To be fair, it was our own stupidity that led us to walking 10 miles instead of 1 because, well, you know, we Gen Z at the end of the day and we don't know how to read no damn map. But regardless, we powered through with only our clothes, DEF CON wristband, and our trustworthy flip-flops. And thankfully, no one had stolen our hidden stash, so now like a pair of wild animals, we demolished those shrooms looking like Mike Tyson on Impulsive for the next 3 minutes. Once we got that done, we walked back to the festival with the intention of going back to our tent. But unfortunately, having walked 10 miles in flip-flops in the scorching sun, once we saw 2 hammocks under the shade of a tree, we folded like a Nintendo DS and laid down and waited for what was to come. And at about the 30-minute mark, I felt the first bit of kick, indicated by the prolonged interest in this random guy who walked past us with red shades and a Swiss flag worn like a cape. I sat on that hammock wondering, where is that guy going to? What's like his story? Is he a good guy or is he a bad guy? If he's a bad guy and he's about to do something villainous, I could have stopped him. Will this haunt me forever? Oh wait, I'm tripping. Snap out of it, Mario. And that was the start of our heroic journey. We then proceeded to bounce back and forth questioning, what you feeling, bro? Until finally, ResX found the strength to stand up from that hammock with the bones surrounded by jelly that were our legs. Which also gave me the power to stand up and start wandering around the magical place that was DEF CON. The more we walked, the more trippy shit got. We truly felt like we were in some type of medieval town from the fact that there were no buildings, only shacks, and the people there were all either drunk, high, or both. Some of the stages were also kind of scary because you see, DEF CON is a hardstyle festival, and in hardstyle there are many subgenres, ranging anywhere from remixes of popular songs to sentences like "Dance with the Devil" or "Long live the Antichrist," followed by a beat drop so strong the common man would mistake what he hears as noise, not music. Anyway, as you can imagine, some of the more hardcore styles were also accompanied with more hardcore people and more hardcore stages, which, well, when you're bugging off what we were, it got a bit intense. And it was truly a test of our characters, cause anybody can be a tough guy when they're drunk, but when you're at your most vulnerable and every thought is significant and uncontrollable, it's pretty hard keeping your cool. But in that moment, I was very thankful for my brother because although we are both Chads in our own right, that day the power of a single Chad was not enough and we had to really pull our power together to actually enjoy the trip and not bug out. Once we hit the 1.5 hour mark though, we randomly stumbled upon our friend who was there with us at DEF CON, and it was a very nice mid-quest point. We shared our experiences, explained that we are currently on another plane of existence, had some laughs, oh, and we also showed him our disgusting feet that we acquired from walking 10 miles in flip-flops, which he one-upped us by showing his messed up right eye, which he got from getting dust on it or something. After that, we proceeded to the final boss, our tent, which might not seem all that scary, but at this point we had ascended into a place we had never even thought to exist. A place of pure mystery, questioning yourself and everything you know. The peak. Unfortunately, I can't really talk about most of the stuff we discussed because it was some real deep shit. But I will say it was one of the toughest experiences I've had. It was scorching hot, we were 1,000 miles from home, and we were just not in the correct dimension, bro. Coupled with the fact the tent was damn orange and illuminated everything to look like Donald Trump's tan. And bro, the moving patterns, they were endless. But at the end of it, we walked away with a lot of knowledge about ourselves and broke barriers in our minds we didn't know were there. So this heroic dose, just like the name suggests, is only for people who are courageous and strong enough to withstand it, because this was no easy smoke grass and play Xbox trip. This was a full-on journey. I'd even go as far to say this was, or at least felt like, a main storyline quest in our lives, which after completion we really did feel accomplished that we endured. Zaza addiction. A bit of a controversial topic, as there is a lot of brass NPCs who at the mere mention of the words weed and addiction get aggroed on some Oblivion guard shit and start defending the magic green plant like some 11th century crusaders. And to be honest, there is some merit to this, as it is true you can't get addicted to Zaza like nicotine for example, but that doesn't mean the Za is completely safe. Exo0 made a great video on the topic which inspired me to make this, but I thought I'd look at it at a bit of a different angle, cause from my experience, your relationship with the Mary Jane is truly a personal one. You can have a dude who smokes up 24/7 every day and because of it is a depressed mofo who doesn't get nothing done and just sits on his bed contemplating about why he is sad all the time. But then you can have a dude like Snoop Dogg who literally breathes THC instead of O2 yet has accomplished more with his life than most of us can ever dream of. For real though, dudes is just completing side quests at this point. Anyway, let's go ahead and look at different types of people and why they smoke the Za and how it affects them. Starting with the faded subway worker. Now, this ain't the subway worker specifically. It can be anybody who has a job where they have discovered that being baked during it makes it a lot more bearable and fun. It's just that in my experience, the workers at Subway are usually always baked. At least that's what it seems like to me. To people like this, the Zaza has become less of a fun plant that you smoke when you have free time to instead the cup of coffee you have in the morning. And well, because people like this literally rely on the Za to get through the day, their relationship with it isn't usually very healthy. These also the types of dudes, if you ever smoke up with, will annihilate the whole spliff and then some, and after they'll be looking and acting the exact same way, like they ain't just smoke a Chief Keef sized fatty. A dude like this is usually stuck in a loop but wanting to be happy and maybe quit their job, but then as soon as they wake up and smoke a spliff, push their aspirations to the side for just one more day. But then they do it the next day, and the next day, and so on. So although dudes might not be physically addicted to the Za, he is mentally using it to forget about his problems for the day, kinda like an alcoholic or something. Then again, it might also be man just enjoys working while high, and after getting home doesn't even smoke anymore and just does what makes him happy. As I said, it's all about why you use the Za to figure out if your relationship with it is healthy or not. Cause this next dude definitely doesn't use it to forget about his problems, and he is the creative dude or artist. I think one thing we can all agree on, whether you think the Za is addictive or not, is that when you high, you tend to be more creative. Now, that doesn't mean that's automatically a good thing, because a lot of times that creativity just means thinking about something very deeply and never actually taking it any further than that. For real though, sometimes I'll be smoking up and I'll be turned into a Greek philosopher out here contemplating the very fabric of the universe. And if you're an artist of any sort and you can actually take these high thoughts and express them through something real, you can see where smoking up every day can become not such a bad thing. Obviously, your lungs will still feel the damage, but compared to the last dude on the list who on top of that suffers from a lack of motivation and low-key depression, this dude is not that bad off. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows either, as Za laziness or zaziness is still a real problem. Although I'm not an artist and just make YouTube videos, I often do them while high, so I can confidently say sometimes when I get a great idea and try to bring it to reality and it doesn't turn out how I imagined it, I get kinda demotivated and just give up for a while. And when I'm not baked, I might not feel as confident and excited about my ideas, but regardless, I still finish them and do what I gotta do. But with the Za, it can make me overanalyze things quite a bit, to the point I might think myself out of a solid thought or plan. But I'm guessing not everyone has this debuff, cause I mean, you look at a mofo like Snoop Dogg, and it'll get you second guessing if smoking grass is the key to success. It's probably not.
Really, nigga?
Anyway, next dude on the list who smokes every day and is low-key addicted is the grass NPC. This guy is, in my opinion, the worst type of Zaza addict, because in this dude's head, no matter how much grass you consume and however much it affects your daily life, it doesn't matter, because, well, the Zaza isn't addictive. The grass NPC also made an appearance on my The Worst Types of Grass Smokers video because of his blatant ignorance and constant defensiveness towards the magic green plant. If you ever talk to this guy, you better be super careful about bringing up any negative towards the Zaza, because this dude will argue his life away defending his one and only love, the Mary Jane. Even though it always makes me happy when famous celebrities or athletes like Kevin Durant, for example, talk about the grass and how it has had a positive impact on their life, because it shows that just because you like getting high doesn't automatically mean you're a lazy good-for-nothing stoner. But if the lazy stoner is the one trying to preach the gospel of the Mary Jane, then who in their right mind is gonna be like, yeah, this guy's spitting straight facts. He really got his shit together. Point being, if you smoke up 24/7 and have a low-key Zaza addiction, own up to it and admit you got a bit of a problem instead of trying to justify your dependency on some Bro, that's like your 5th spliff. You sure that's a good idea?
What you mean? This shit all organic. It ain't even bad for you, bro.
I mean, smoking anything is bad, especially if you're doing it 24/7.
Nah, bro, Zaza ain't even a drug. You really should do your research. Here, I sent you an article about the positives of smoking grass.
Okay.
What's this? What you sent me?
It's just some research talking about all the negatives of smoking grass.
Sorry, I can't hear you. This gas is too loud.
My man doesn't wanna hear it, which is really bad, cause being ignorant to the negative side effects of the Zaza can lead to way too much consumption, which can evolve to a dependency on it just to live your everyday life. For real though, if you don't ever give your body time to filter out that grass from your system, it's gonna get used to it always being there, which will lead you to experiencing things like loss of appetite, low mood, low energy, etc. when off the Zaza. So especially to all my younger viewers, don't think of the grass as some magical perfect substance. There are consequences to using it, just like everything else in the world. Sometimes even when I have one mega smoke sesh, I'll feel the after effects in the morning, like a Zaza hangover. It's all about moderation and using the Zaza to enhance your life and the experiences you have, not relying on it for them. I've also said this in one of my previous videos, but I think it fits well here too. It's not about how high you were, it's about where you were high. So yeah, always try to keep that in mind. You know, the line between a fun high and a you done high is very thin, and that shit is no joke. Sometimes all it takes is just one extra puff. And that's when I finally realized that dude was not talking about no Coca-Cola to drink. Wait, but I did buy this weed from him. I wonder if...
No, wait, it can't be. Everybody stop right now. I think we're all smoking crack.
Hey, yo, see, you got any more of that weed you gave me yesterday? Oh, it's really good shit. Yeah, I really like it. Hey, yo, so you have some. Hey, yo, give me, I'll give you anything. I'll fucking suck your dick. And that's exactly why you can never trust a plug who also sells that Coca-Cola, if you know what I'm saying. But your weed being laced with a substance that'll change the chemistry of your brain and make the pursuit of your dreams and happiness into the pursuit of concentrated 1900s Coca-Cola and ruin your life forever is the least of your worries when you smoke up with a bunch of sad boys. Now, don't get me wrong, mental health is very important and you should never keep everything inside because your loved ones want to help you. But bro, ever since Juice WRLD dropped Lucid Dreams, motherfuckers will find any reason to be depressed.
I still see your shadows in my room. Can't take back the love that I gave you.
Yo, what's going on with you, bro? Like, you've been acting really sad as of late.
You wouldn't understand. I'm depressed. There's just no point to anything.
Wait, but you weren't depressed 2 days ago. Oh, you're on a sad boy phase.
Sad boy? No! Oh, fuck, I guess I am.
Yeah, bro, how about we go to Salamander's place, get obliterated, and play some Super Smash Bros. Instead of whatever the fuck you're doing here?
Yeah, what am I doing here?
Yeah, let's just get out of here.
1 hour later.
So, Ricky, you still sad? Nah, I'm having a blast. Wait, but you were saying something about like someone's shadows you were still seeing in your room?
I don't want to talk about that.
And that's the story of how we were able to stop Ricky from becoming a full-time sad boy, just in the nick of time. But besides almost losing a friend to the song Sad! Exclamation point, there have been 2 extremely scary highs I have gone through. One was instigated by the po-po, man, fuck the police! And the other was from the fear of losing my life. Let me set the scene for you. I'm in high school and I've smoked maybe 3 or 4 times ever, but the last time I did was months ago, so my tolerance was damn near at the level of smelling some grass and getting faded. Anyway, so I had a couple friends who have been asking me relentlessly to get some Zaza and get faded because they didn't know any plugs and really wanted to try it. So one weekend I decided to finally fulfill their request and hit up my homie Salamander and acquired the exotic. The weekend came and we found ourselves in my dorm room rolling a J, which, well, I had rolled it and it took me a while because my stats were low AF. Basically, I was out there trying to pick an expert level lock with 0 points in perception, dog. After going through 20 papers, the abomination was ready though, so we went deep into the local park and sparked it. Barely, because that shit had almost 0 airflow. I had to relight the damn thing after every puff. Yet that was definitely not even close to the worst part, because these motherfuckers were begging me to get the Zaza in the first place, were scared shitless to get high, so I ended up smoking like 80% of the J myself, leaving me absolutely zoinked in a group where nobody else wasn't. So you can imagine I was feeling pretty betrayed, and also a bit scared, because if you've ever been obliterated in a group where no one else is, you know that you feel kind of like an alien abandoned by your comrades in a hostile planet, and that feeling was amplified by the fact that these friends of mine were kind of dickheads. Because after puffing down the J, we went to the local gas station to get some munchies, and of course I was fiending for some trans fat, so I asked them if they could go in there and bring me the stuff I wanted, and I'd of course pay them back. Pretty reasonable and easy, right? Being that I was the only one who was blasted and scared of getting caught. I guess fucking not, because these pussios who didn't even inhale the fucking weed told me that they wouldn't bring me anything if I didn't come in. Which, I mean, these days I wouldn't mind, but I was like 17 and it was a Friday night, the prime time for cop patrol, so I had no choice and went in there tweaking out of my mind like...
Oh fuck, this place is full. Shit. Wait, it feels like they're all staring at me. No, I think I'm just high. Okay, let's just get out of here. I'm not gonna order anything. Okay, fine. Go to the corner.
Hey, yo, bro, I'm gonna just take some chips and candy, okay? And can you give me the car keys so I can just wait it out in the car while you guys wait for your food? Yeah? No.
What? Why? I'm not even gonna turn it on, bro.
Cause, bro, I got an announcement to make.
This motherfucker high as... Bro, shut the fuck up! That ain't funny. I'm baked as fuck, you pussy.
Okay, but yeah, you're not getting the keys. So basically, these scumbags just decided to torture me, and because I had to wait for their food anyway, I went to order some too, and as I was doing so, 3 girls from my school approached me at the counter and were like, yeah, I'll have Hey, see, I heard you guys smoked some weed, yeah?
Well, no, I'll have the dumplings, yeah. But yeah, we definitely didn't.
We're all super duper sober bober.
Yeah, you did. Dwayne said so. You got some left? You can come to our place if you have some. We really want to get faded too.
And in that moment, I had to pause and rethink my whole life, because I did not in fact have any left, because I wasted it all on my rinky-dinky sausage party bum fun enjoying friends. Which, if I would have had some left, I could have gone to these girls' crib and smoked up with 3 hot chicks. But no, I donated all the weed to Dumber, and me, the dumbest. And after that realization of alliances, I changed the famous saying, bros before hoes, to bros who aren't hoes before bros. And I live by that to this day. But the scariest part was yet to come, because as I was waiting for my food posted up at the ice cream station, a cop walked in. And that just set my tweak meter to a whole new level. I felt my heart rate spike to like 200, and I was shaking, just begging God for him not to walk towards me. But he fucking did. I avoided eye contact at all costs, but it seemed he had his eyes set on me. He got closer and closer until he was standing right in front of me.
Fuck, why is he here? He knows I'm faded, doesn't he? Oh shit, I'm fucked. I'm going to juvie. This is over. Oh my god, I'm gonna fucking die. Yes, officer?
Could you move out of the way, please? I want some ice cream.
Yeah, of course. My bad.
Thanks. Nothing better than some good old Ben & Jerry's to complement a sour diesel joint. Shit, fucking fire. Okay, the last part maybe didn't happen, okay? Anyway, the build-up, the weed, the cop, everything combined gave me some of the worst anxiety I've ever had, but the relief when he just wanted some ice cream was equally amazing. I had gotten away from this horrid situation, and once we got our food, we went to a hangout spot where I got really cold and tweaked again. Overall, I'd rate the high a 7 out of 10 just because it was eventful and I got a nice adrenaline dump, but it would have been a damn 9.5 if your boy could have gone to the girls' crib and got faded with some hot females instead of my pussy friends, goddamn. Although this high was quite stressful, it did have its highlights. I don't know about you guys, but I can be kind of a straight to the point, don't care how you feel type of guy. But for some reason, when I'm faded, that low-key changes. Like, the Zaza seems to make me care more about others and how they feel. Don't get me wrong though, I'm not out here going out of my way to help some grandma cross the street and then run into the nearest blood donation bank where after donating my blood, I volunteer myself at the soup kitchen. It's more like if I wasn't high and was waiting in traffic and an old lady was crossing the street, I think, oh my god, you chose the perfect time to cross the street, didn't you? Now I have to sit here like an idiot. I got to do, woman. Move! Compared to if I was theoretically high. Look at that grandma crossing the street. I wonder where she's going. Probably to see her grandkids. Just wonderful. So yeah, I guess the Zaza makes me more inclined to other people's problems in life, whereas if I'm not faded, I seem to focus mostly on my own without taking into account others. But it's not that simple if we're trying to answer the question of, does being high make you a better person? Because another way to look at it is, it just makes you more lazy. Like the example of the grandma crossing the street. What if the difference in reaction is not that of me being just a great all-around guy, but the Zaza just making me forget why I was in a rush in the first place? Being annoyed, stressed, nervous, etc., although not nice feelings, are symptoms of doing something out of your comfort zone, and doing something outside that zone is really the only way to get anywhere in life. Think about it. Do you know anyone who is actually successful in anything without frequently being stressed? You probably don't. Well, you might, but that dude is just probably some snobby rich kid who embezzles funds from their dad's yacht maintenance fund into their shitty little company they started with their friends that they only use to make it seem like it's them who's making money, when in reality all they're doing is taking funds from their rich parents and putting them into their pocket and telling everybody I worked for it, but hey, what do I know? Anyway, we've concluded that the Zaza can make you a more understanding and better person, but it can also make you a lazy mofo who loses the ability to step outside their comfort zone. So, is it bad? Nah, I mean, not really. As we know, the key to everything in life is moderation. And if practiced correctly, it can help you with literally everything, not just the Zaza. My point here is that there is a time and place for everything, so there is no real answer to if the Zaza makes you a better person, because it all depends on the context of the situation. So if you're always faded and sit around and eat pizzas and watch the Shaolin Chronicles all day, but then say your philosophy is, bruh, I'm all about peace and love. I don't wanna be like you, stressing out all the time. I chase tranquility. Your argument is not valid to anyone who is trying to achieve something in life besides tranquility. But then again, it goes the other way around as well. So a 24/7 stressed out, always working, never resting dude would say something like, if you want to make it anywhere in life, you can never rest. You gotta outwork everyone, even if that means drinking 6 energy drinks a day, vaping 24/7 to stop the disease of feeling tired, and you gotta sleep a maximum of 4 hours a day to maximize your work time. And obviously, you gotta work out at least 3 hours a day to build that muscle. Like, bro, chill. You might be rich, but what does that matter if you die at 35? Obviously, these are two extremes, both at different far ends of the spectrum, and really, you should try to position yourself somewhere in the middle. There is a time and place for everything, especially for the green magic plant, because if you start frequently using it, it really does take your edge away, and if your goal for life isn't only tranquility, then that is definitely a bad thing. Then again, if you're an uber-focused person who finds it very hard to relax even when they should be, then the Zaza can definitely help you in that department and give you a well-deserved break. And dare I say, it can even make you a better person. Or at least make it seem like it to the people around you, cause in reality, you're the same guy, just on a different planet. For example, here are some everyday situations whilst high versus when you aren't. Number 1. Someone asks you to do the laundry, but you're not high. Hey bro, can you please do the laundry? Okay, I will. Versus if you are high, hey bro, can you please do the Shh. Of course I'll do the laundry. You did it last time, it's only fair. Second situation, you're stuck in traffic on a sunny day, whilst you're not high. How long is this shit gonna take? I should've just taken the second road. Versus when you are high. Ooh, is that a new Porsche? Damn, that guy must be rich. So nice just bathing under the sun in this traffic. Oh shit, I gotta move. Number 3, you're in the cinema and you're high. This is awesome. Versus you're not high, this is lame. Okay, the last one didn't really add anything to the video. I just really like being high in the cinema. Anyway, I hope you learned something from this video and maybe achieved tranquility. Drinking versus smoking. Both activities resulting in an altered state of mind, but that's really about where the similarities end, because as we know, in many ways, the effects of these substances are basically exact opposites. So if you put a drunk man and a high man in the same situation, for example walking down a busy street, the high man will most likely keep his head down, avoiding eye contact, observing his surroundings, and minding his own business, all while being as low-key as possible. While the drunk man, on the other hand, will probably make eye contact with everyone, all while stumbling around, bumping into trash cans and shit, while having zero idea where he is or where he is even going. Obviously, it also depends on the person and how they react to the effects of these substances. But hey, that's what we're here for, to discover the positives and negatives of both and try to make an unbiased decision on which of these substances is better. And we obviously gotta start with the most important category, and that is the effect. You ever seen a dude faded beyond belief, hanging out and having a fun time with a dude that's drunk as fuck? The answer is probably no, because as I said earlier, the personalities of the two substances just don't mix very well. Being high is a combination of overanalyzing every thought you have and really going deep into your inner 10-year-old, which means laughing uncontrollably at a TikTok your homie sent you one moment and then the next remembering that we're all really just chunks of matter roaming an endlessly expanding universe without no clear purpose except enjoying your time alive. Ooh, funny cat video. And being drunk is the exact opposite in the way that instead of overanalyzing your decisions, you don't think about them at all.
Shit, you're telling me if I did a backflip off that table right now, I'd impress all the hoes? Yeah, probably. You know how to do a backflip though? Psst, just watch.
Hey everybody, check this shit out.
Shit. Bro, I thought you said you know how to do a backflip. I never said I knew how to. I just thought I'd pull it off somehow.
Basically, being drunk makes you overconfident, unaware of your surroundings, numb social anxiety, and overall just makes you very spontaneous in your actions. But don't get me wrong, that's not always a bad thing per se, cause being drunk is fun as fuck. To be honest, in most social situations, it's probably gonna be way more enjoyable than being high. Just the way I see it, alcohol numbs your senses and worries, while makes you more aware of them. So although in the long term, smoking grass is probably less harmful to your overall life, that's not what we're comparing here. So a bit of a controversial take maybe, but alcohol wins this category 1-0 booze. But now let's look at the thing that comes a couple hours after the effect, and that's the after effect / hangover. Not gonna dwell on this subject for too long, as I think we all know where this is going. If you get shit-faced drunk on Friday, you're gonna be fighting the urge to yourself on Saturday. Okay, that might be a bit of an over-exaggeration, but it's low-key true. Because you see, ethanol, aka alcohol, is literally poison, and when you drink too much of it, you're gonna feel like you've been poisoned. Like shit, who would've thought? And with weed, of course, there is no hangover whatsoever. Well, not really, cause if you ever gotten absolutely annihilated to the point your body switches to autopilot before, then you know after waking up the next day, there is a high possibility you'll experience low energy, haziness, brain fog, and worst of all, the desire to get schmacked again in the morning so you can binge watch season 1 of SpongeBob and ignore all your goals and aspirations. But that is a lot better than feeling so awful that you become a devoted Christian overnight and start begging God for mercy.
My head hurts so bad. I know I haven't reached out in a while, God. But please, end this suffering, and I promise I'll never drink again.
Hey bro, wanna go to Lucy's place today? Everybody's coming. It's supposed to be a crazy party. Yeah, let's go. So even though the grass isn't the miracle plant some people believe it to be, I'd still say it's the clear winner in this category. 1-1 all tied up. Now let's look at cost. In the previous comparison of weed versus nicotine, I went through all the levels of consumption to figure out which one is cheaper, but with this one, comparing just the cost of the booze versus the Zaza isn't gonna cut it. Because you see, on a night out where you get wasted, I'd say maybe like 20% of the actual money spent is gonna be on alcohol you yourself consumed, with the rest going to entry fees into clubs, buying shots for them hoes, expressing your love to the homies by buying them drinks, and other stupid shit people tend to do when drunk. Also, unless you're a straight up bum or functioning alcoholic, you're not gonna be drunk every day. Instead, if you love drinking and partying, you'll be drunk every weekend. Or the other possibility is, of course, you drink a couple beers every night at the end of your day, which the best way to tell if you fall into this category is go look in the mirror, and if you have a dad bod, then yeah, you're probably in it. With smoking though, your primary cost is gonna be in the itself, ranging anywhere from $40 a month if you only blaze on the weekends with your homies, all the way up to like $500 a month if you're getting high every day. Which this category is quite hard for me to pick a clear winner because it really just depends on your personality and self-control when drunk, so I'ma leave it at a tie. I'm sorry, it's the only way to be fair. 2-2, we're still tied. Now time for addictiveness. I think the best way to answer this question is by looking at what these substances do to you, starting with alcohol. The saying, drink away the pain, exists for a reason. Alcohol is a numbing agent. It numbs your senses, numbs your brain, numbs your body, and it numbs the pain. Basically meaning you can drink away your problems for the night, which if that isn't enough of a red flag, it also has some pretty major withdrawal symptoms if you decide to stop being an alcoholic one day. And although with there can also be withdrawal symptoms, it's a bit harder to get that far, and from what I've digged up, they're not as hard to overcome. Although, take that with a grain of salt because the research on this field isn't super conclusive yet. But if alcohol is a numbing agent, then what is the ganja? Glad you asked. In my opinion, the Zaza is an amplifier, so if you're sad and dealing with some serious emotional damage and then smoke a doozy, you're gonna be even more sad, and the emotional damage will feel much worse. Obviously, if you get so blasted you switch to manual breathing, it can also numb the pain to some regard, but that's only because your brain puts your trauma aside to focus on surviving the high, and it's not like it's always gonna do that, it might actually just make you focus on your misery even more. That being said, I'ma give this point to the Zaza, because although saying isn't addictive is false, it is still less so than alcohol. So 3-2, the grass is finally winning, but maybe this next category will tie it back up. Variety. By this I mean the variations of said effects. So with weed, there are different strains that give different effects. And of course with different sorts of alcohol, it's the same thing. Wrong! Or shit, at least I have not once in my life drank some grade A distilled gin and been like,
yeah, this is definitely more of a mellow drunkenness.
It just doesn't happen. Alcohol is alcohol, unless it's tequila. We don't talk about tequila. Anyway, with the variation is very extensive. You have your obvious CBD and but also nowadays derivatives like THC, HHC, and so on. And it goes even further with indica and from there the strain, and from there the percentage, so variety is definitely not an issue. Oh, and I better not see no comments about,
you obviously never drank wine before.
It's been proven that these professional wine testers are just a bunch of high society wannabes trying to act like they know shit. Motherfuckers be drinking $5 wine comparing it to a $100 bottle saying shit like,
this definitely has more of a floral and zesty taste to it.
Like, what the f does that even mean? It tastes like wine. God damn, bro, just chill. Anyway, 4-2 does. Mary Jane still undefeated. I think everyone has experienced a bad high before. Even though this debuff is pretty easily avoidable by strictly blazing in optimal conditions, I ain't no sissy. If the gas is available and the activity, however ridiculous it might be, has been set, I'm in. Like, yeah bro, I'm totally down to hit 5 fat rips at your place, then puff down a 2-gram split for dessert whilst walking to the abandoned mental asylum your cousin told you about. Sounds like a great plan. Oh, the grounds are also infested with savage rabies-infected stray dogs? Bro, no problem. I survived like 100 rounds in Kino der Toten. I know how to deal with hellhounds. I think it's the adventurous spirit in the Zaza that makes you down to do whatever. Cause I mean, it could go bad, but bro, if it goes good, It'll be like a top 5 high memory at least. I used to have a friend who always invited me to these completely straight out of a horror movie scenario adventures, and my first reaction was always like, bro, you must be tweaking off some laced green. That don't sound fun at all. But me being the broke and stupid teenager I was, always folded when he said the magic words. I got the gas. One of the stupidest things I remember agreeing to was going to this grain combine where literally every couple years there was a story of some kids dying by drowning in the damn seeds. I mean, it was massive and the view up there was pretty cool too, I guess, but really why people went there was so they could say, yeah man, I climbed that grain combine, you know, kind of a badass. Don't really have a concept of fear anymore. I'm just a rebel at heart. What can I do? Hey bro, you think Brittany heard me say that? She totally wants me now. Anyway, so we're out here walking to the Pennywise evil lair the way children go missing in it, whilst puffing on this unholy spliff. The damn thing was so big, the paper couldn't handle the weight of the kush, so the Zaza was hanging off the filter like a freaking dildo. Must have been over a gram in that monstrosity of 5-minute crafts. And we smoked the whole thing. And you might be like, only a gram? I hit bigger rips on my apple bong. But keep in mind, this was years ago, and I had only blazed up a couple times and never really in no stressful situations like this. We get to the grain combine and well, I'm gone. Like, hop on a plane to Area 51 and steal a spaceship type of gone. But my friend was an experienced smoker, so he was just like, hi I guess. I don't actually remember asking him how suited he felt. To be honest, I don't really remember too much from that night, except for how incredibly faded I was, and how goddamn certain I was of my death at one point. Speaking of certain death, after sizing up the combine, we start going up this rusty, constructed in 1756, refurbished in 1805 looking ladder, and I'm sweating bricks like I was a construction worker or something. But man, it ain't my fault, cause the higher we went, the windier it got, and at some point, the ladder started creaking like it was trying to get me to hop on the beat. Okay, I'm feeling it. Hey. Bro, what are you doing? Stop messing around and focus on climbing. Yeah, okay, for sure. In all seriousness though, I would love to say that, yeah, I'm a rebel. I'm like Tom Cruise from Mission Impossible. I'm like Jason Statham in every movie he's in, basically. But that would be lying. Cause at about 75% into the climb, I swear, I saw a freaking bolt drop from the top of the ladder. And at that point, I was like, you know what? Nah, I don't wanna die. Hey bro, where you going? I'ma go ahead and not fall to my death. I think that's pretty reasonable of me. Fool, I'll do myself. Okay, not really. He went on top of the thing and took some pictures and got down safely, but bruh, he just got lucky. His odds of survival were like 10% at best. Although after that day, Mance did get like 50% more girls, so I guess that guy was actually onto something. Anyway, once we were both down, I was like, bro, that was cool and all, but don't ever enchant me with those magic words, I got the gas. Again, I won't fall for it next time. And from that day on, I was responsible as eating vegan foods is for saving the environment. I learned nothing. I went on many more devious adventures with that guy.
Moonrock, a type of weed that has been designed to bamboozle your frontal cortex and get you moving extremely irregular. Apparently so much so that Snoop Dogg himself finds them too strong and has warned against the use of these intergalactic Obi-Wan Kenobi exotic nugs. But CBD bro, you already smoked Moonrock a year ago. And yes, technically I did, but as I learned to discover just a few days ago, crumbling a Moonrock J into a bowl isn't even close to the real thing. But why did we buy a pre-roll instead of actual Moonrock that day? Well, you see the J was $15 and the nug itself was $50, so I was just trying to save a little bit of money, I'm sorry. Now that we have that out of the way, let me set the scene for you. I just spent 24 hours going from airport to airport, flying my way to the USA of A. So I had what you might call jet lag, or a better way to put it, a non-alcoholic hangover. And if you know me, after a hard day's work, I like to indulge in that motherfucking top shelf gas. So right after getting to my apartment, I started scheming, cooking, fiddling my thumbs on my electronic mobile device in search of some dank weed, brah. And that's when it occurred to me. I hadn't smoked up in over 2 weeks. My tolerance must be damn near 0. Yeah, I don't want to overdo it. What's that stuff I smoked in Amsterdam again, though, that had me find demons? Moonrock? Nah. That'll disrupt my circadian rhythm. Wait, My circadian rhythm already is disrupted. Shit, Moonrock might just undisrupt it back to normal. So there I was, having made up my mind with absolute logic that could not be argued against. I concluded that the only thing potent enough to cure my jet lag was my dear old friend Moonrock. And remember how I said I found out a few days ago that what I smoked in Amsterdam wasn't actually Moonrock? Yeah, well, the few days I was referring to wasn't some random Google search. This shit would end up getting me so galactically obliterated, I scrambled to find out if I had smoked some lace grass, only to discover that the hole I dug myself into was no one else's fault but mine, god damn. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here. After browsing the interwebs for a while, I found a place that sells Moonrock at an affordable price. So me, a carless man, decided to use the extremely sophisticated and thorough public transport system of the United States.
I told you this was your last day, Johnny.
I'm sorry. Just give me one more day. I'll pay it all back. I promise.
Rest in pepperoni, you damn crackhead. Holy shit. Did I just hear a dude getting shot? Thankfully, I'm safe on the
We looking for ops, young niggas letting out shots. They don't give a fuck about the cops. We clutching them ops.
So, after taking a bus I'm assuming was operated by the Crenshaw Crips, I arrived in the fabulous dispensary and was ready to get my dank Moonrocks.
Hello, sir. How may I help you today?
Yeah, I'd like to purchase some Moonrock.
Sure. Do you have your ID or passport?
Yes, I do. I came prepared.
Yeah, checks out. That'll be $120.
120? I said I want Moonrock, not diamond-encrusted weed.
Well, that's the price. You want it or not.
Yeah, okay. After being bent over and having all my saved up rupees finessed, I held in my hand Moonrock. Not a cheap Moonrock J, some real sticky, icky, dank smelling nugs that looked like they really were from the moon. Fortunately, that wasn't the end of my financial troubles because I was almost certain I had 30 minutes earlier heard a man being shot and killed near the bus stop. I didn't want to have my fade ran by the nearest gang-affiliated Moonrock smelling thugs, so using the money I was hoping to buy food with the next day, I instead got an Uber. Oh yeah. After arriving back at my apartment, I made sure that this time I would do things right. So I googled how to smoke Moonrock and was instantly greeted with a mistake I had made. Or I don't know if it was a mistake, but this tutorial said to pack your bowl full of your favorite flower and then add a couple chunks of your Moonrock in. Which obviously I didn't do because I only had the damn Moonrock. Damn, I swear it was easier last time. This shit's sticky as fuck. Oh, well, screw it. I'll just pack it full of Moonrock. What's the worst that can happen? A grave mistake. A skibbity lapse in judgment. I was not at all prepared for what was to come, even though I thought I was. And the reason for that was my false understanding of how potent this shit actually is. I had smoked Sunrock before, but did so from a J, which is not really how you're supposed to do it, making its potency noticeably lower. And the Moonrock I smoked in Amsterdam was apparently just a J covered in keef that we crumbled into a BONG, and on top of that, when you consider the copious amounts of top shelf Zaza we were smoking prior, I think you might be starting to see how this is gonna go.
Here goes nothing. Holy shit. Okay, I know where this is going.
The instant the first bit of high hit me, I knew I was fucked. But CBD, bro, it's just weed. No, you don't know what you're talking about. The first wave was eerily similar to when I hit the penjamin for the first time, doing 2 blinkers. And if you remember that video, you know I was about to go through one hell of a trip. I rushed back inside and put my bong and other gear away as fast as I could before my IQ would drop to the level of a 4-year-old. Then I proceeded to put on some random YouTube video about P. Diddy, expecting to be entertained, only to find out he's coming for you. He could be anywhere. Justin Bieber. Oh Lord, what did he do to him? Beyonce too? No, she's in the Illuminati. All the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies. Yeah, so I definitely chose the wrong subject matter to accompany my near greenouts, and I was 100% starting to tweak. So I finally decided to stop with this P. Diddy stuff, as it was not doing me any favors.
Okay, chill. I'll just put on some music.
When you're rich like this, you don't think the forecast every day is gonna rain. Yeah.
Wait, it can't be.
No, not you too.
Trip too hard, don't stand too close. Look around, drown up this wave. After realizing that a lot of the music I grew up with was the product of an alleged monster, I was rather sad. So I tried to instead play video games, hoping that if I focused on guiding my brightly colored Fall Guy from falling off the map due to the extensive obstacles in his way, I would be fine. Okay, Fall Guys, let's play some Fall Guys. How much a man can fall. Fallout 4.
20 minutes later.
Yeah, I remember I used to love Call of Duty. Nuketown was the shit. Wait, I was supposed to play Fall Guys, man. What is this weed? I can't do shit. I could not focus on anything, bruh. Well, I say anything, but I really mean anything positive. As if I were to let myself slip for even just a moment that day, I could feel every single cell in my body. And when I'm that freakishly high and I start focusing on that little ache I have in my back or the speed of my heart rate, it takes me to Tweak Town real quick. I was trying to keep myself busy as best I could, but everything I did, I was either reminded about the horrors of P. Diddy or started overanalyzing if that pork chop I ate 5 hours earlier might have been undercooked and about to give me some food poisoning. Which, what the fuck am I gonna do then? I can't call the ambulance. I'm baked as fuck, and I'm in the US. It will cost me like 50 grand, bruh. Thankfully though, like with all grass highs, it's all in your head, and unless you took some Point Eddies, it starts wearing off in a couple hours. So all in all, I learned that Moonrock is way more crazy than I thought, and that I should probably revisit its more potent brother Sunrock as well, cause this trip left me wondering, what would happen if I smoked that shit properly? Strains. There are a lot of great ones. I mean, you got Whoppy Toppy Helicopter Glider, Turtle Hermit Loud, Disco Ninja Shuriken, Long Island Psychosis, Galactic DUI, just fabulous strains that we all know don't exist. Ha! You fell for it. Even though, I don't blame you, cause Crouching Tiger, Hidden Alien, and Gooey Grape Gorilla Glue 4 are real strains that I didn't make up and are just as, if not more ridiculous than Galactic DUI. But did you know there are multiple strains that our forefathers adored? Strains that back in the day were considered the literal holy grail of Zaza, worth their weight in gold, but sadly don't exist anymore. Which, ironically, Acapulco Gold is probably the most famous and sad cases of this phenomenon. Why? Well, let me tell you about it for the sake of science and education. See, back in the 1960s, when most people were smoking mystery backyard oregano, Acapulco Gold showed up looking like it came from heaven's greenhouse. It wasn't just strong, it was beautiful. Golden orange buds covered in resin, smelling like honey and spice. It looked expensive before you even lit it. The fade was what really sealed the deal. Clean, euphoric, and energizing. It didn't melt you into the couch, it made you feel alive. Artists, hippies, musicians, everyone loved it because it fueled creativity instead of killing it. You could write poetry, play guitar, or question capitalism all in one sitting. And then there was the mystique. You couldn't just go buy Acapulco Gold anywhere. It came from a small coastal region in Guerrero, Mexico, son. So when it did show up in the States, it was like treasure. Plugs bragged about having it, magazines wrote about it, even pop culture icons name dropped it. Basically, Acapulco Gold was the first celebrity strain. It represented everything people imagined good grass could be. Exotic, natural, and untouchably elite. So what happened to it? In short, the DEA happened. By the late 1970s, the US government decided Mexico was exporting a little too much happiness and launched a series of eradication campaigns. The most infamous was Operation Condor, basically translated to Let's Napalm Paradise. Entire fields of Acapulco Gold were burned, sprayed, or bulldozed out of existence. Local farmers who'd spent generations perfecting those golden genetics either fled or switched to faster growing high-yield hybrids to survive. Within a few years, the original line, the real sun-curd, honey-scented Acapulco Gold, was gone. What's left today are hybrids borrowing the name for nostalgia points. Goddamn. Yo, see, I know how much you love the Zaza. Well, I think you love it more. So I got us, the last remaining Acapulco Gold. Bruh, there's no way. It doesn't exist anymore. It was all burned by Reagan and the boys. Nah, man. My plug Dave told me his grandpa was actually a part of Operation Condor, and he said that just before they napalmed everything, he took a few seeds, and well,
He's been growing it in his basement ever since. Of course, he did charge a premium, but I mean, who wouldn't? I hate to break it to you, but the only thing growing in Dave's house is his appetite for crack cocaine. Man, whether Dave is a crackhead or not, it don't change the fact I got this.
Bruh, that ain't Acapulco gold. That's Acapulco mold, son.
While the DEA were out in Mexico burning that pure natural Zaza, the government was also allegedly cooking up an abomination in a lab. That strain was called G13. According to legends, sometime in the 1970s, the US government, maybe the CIA, maybe the FBI, maybe just a group of very bored scientists, decided to make the perfect za. The story goes that they gathered the best genetics from all around the world, Afghani indicas, Thai sativas, Colombian golds, and started crossbreeding them in a top secret lab at the University of Mississippi, which, fun fact, really was the only place allowed to grow for research. Out of those experiments came one plant that supposedly outsmoked the rest, Government Indica 13, or G13 for short. It was rumored to be so strong that even agents testing it couldn't handle it. The high was heavy, the THC was off the charts, and the legend says one rogue scientist smuggled a cutting out of the lab and released it to the public, basically doing God's work. Now, officially the government says none of this ever happened, which of course makes it sound way more real. Whether it was a lab-grown super strain or just a really good story, G13 became a myth that outlasted most of the people who smoked it. If it was true, the original clone is long gone, lost to time and bad breeding, but its name still shows up on dispensary menus. The only difference, the one in your local shop probably wasn't made by the CIA. Seems like the government really enjoyed destroying Zaza, but there was one strain that didn't need any help. It destroyed itself. A self-inflicted extinction born from pure success. That strain was called Roadkill Skunk. A name that was apparently not an exaggeration because people said it really did smell like actual roadkill. We're talking next level stench, the kind of smell that could end relationships, clear a room, or make your mailman file a complaint. But behind that horrifying aroma was one of the most powerful and unique strains of its time. Heavy, sticky, knockout grass that could flatten even better in tokers. Old school growers swore by it, saying you could smell it before you could see it, like the world's most illegal air freshener. Then legalization started creeping in, neighbors got sensitive, and dispensaries wanted approachable terps. You know, fruity, sweet, smells like a smoothie type za. Nobody wanted their living room to reek like a biology project gone wrong, so growers started crossing and breeding the smell out of it, toning it down, making it civilized, and somewhere along the way, they erased the original. No DEA raid, no government lab, just society deciding that weed was too loud, bro. Now, anything labeled skunk is basically a domesticated descendant. Polite, perfumed, deodorized, the real roadkill skunk is gone, a victim of its own success. Proof that sometimes being unforgettable means you don't get invited back. But there's one more strain that went extinct, not because the DEA torched it, not because it smelled like roadkill, but because it was just too damn high maintenance. The diva of weed, always craving attention, affection, and 5 months of your undivided love. And eventually, growers did what any exhausted partner would do. They moved on to the neighborhood hoe. That strain was Nivelle's Haze. Created in the late 80s by legendary breeder Nivelle Schoenmakers, this was its equivalent of a genius artist. Brilliant, beautiful, and completely insufferable. The high was electric, euphoric, borderline psychedelic. Smokers said it could launch you straight into the astral plane, but to get there, growers had to wait 16 to 20 weeks for it to flower, double the time of normal strains. At first, that patience paid off. It became one of the most respected sativas ever bred, but as the industry got faster and greedier, Nivelle's Haze couldn't keep up. Why nurture a moody genius when you can grow 2 rounds of easy hybrids that print cash? By the 2000s, the real cut was basically gone, replaced by quicker, simpler haze strains that lacked the magic but gained the efficiency. Nivelle's Haze didn't die in a blaze of DEA napalm, it just got ghosted. Proof that in the za world, even legends can get left on red. Smoking alone. It's a lot different than smoking with a group because, well, you're alone, so it's exclusively your job to explore those high thoughts and piece together fun activities to enjoy the high. And if all goes well, you'll have a blast, scrolling shorts, playing games, watching movies, pondering the scale of the universe and how nothing actually matters. It's great! But it comes with a catch. You see, when you're with a group of friends, it's much easier to stay on subject and destroy the evil thoughts the grass might curse you with. So, in my experience, when I'm getting high alone, I usually smoke a bit less just cause being super mega high is 99% of the time best enjoyed with a group and not by yourself. Unfortunately, when I was a youngster, I hadn't discovered this. In fact, I accidentally got the highest I'd ever been up until that point. And the demons I faced that night made me who I am today. The story begins with a high schooler CBD bro who had planned a great adventure with the main homie Salamander and Ricky. Well, not a great adventure per se. We were gonna go to Salamander's place on Friday night and get absolutely obliterated off that Zaza. And for that, I had secured a whole gram of that exotic the Friday before. And although very tough, I fought the urge to blaze for a whole week just so we could demolish it all together in one night. And if you watch some of my older videos, you know Salamander had a bit of a funky home situation, so a lot of times his house was completely free, and this was supposed to be the case on this beautiful night as well. So you know your boy was excited as an 8-year-old on Christmas for this upcoming Friday night high extravaganza. But it all came crashing down when Salamander texted me, "Hey yo, my parents came home tonight and well, they found my bong, so I'm basically in the gulag now, so no smoke sesh tonight, nor probably the next night, nor, well, until they leave again. See you once I serve my time. LOL. A true tragedy. Our plans have been foiled by none other than Salamander's stinky old bong. But I think you guys can see where this story is going. I had a whole gram of that fine exotic grass, and I've been holding myself back for a whole week in anticipation for the now cancelled high extravaganza. So here I was, standing in my shitty little dorm, filled with sorrow. I decided, screw it, I'ma just smoke alone. So I put my level 99 J-rolling skills to use, and after about 15 minutes of fumbling the spliff, I had done it. I rolled a J that was intended for free people, and headed outside to smoke it all by myself. After heading out, I went to my favorite park bench that was just outside the dormitory territory and started chipping away at the abomination I created. 1 puff, 2 puffs, 3 puffs. I was faded than a hoe, but nowhere near the fadedness I had been waiting for. I continued puffing away until I reached the halfway point and my mouth became drier than the Sahara Desert, bro. So I took a little break to try to figure out how high I truly was. As I stared into nothingness for a good minute, I felt my first person camera slowly pull away into third person, like I was in GTA 5 or something. And I have no shame in saying I didn't smoke the whole thing, cause I was starting to get a bit paranoid, so I took my half-smoked 1G spliff and headed back to my dorm. And bro, you know those creepy pictures that are creepy because they look familiar, like it's just a normal pic, but then you really look at them and realize they ain't normal? Yeah, well, that's how I felt when I walked through the hallway leading to my room. But anyway, once I got to my room, I was still feeling paranoid. Like, it was weird cause I had never felt that way before from Za, and I think that's just cause when you get high with others, you're kinda comforted by the fact that you're not alone in the feeling of being absolutely smacked out of your mind. Thankfully, I did find some comfort in my favorite platform, YouTube. So I started watching some good vibey videos and slowly snapped out of my paranoid state, but was instantly greeted with a new problem. An uncontrollable sensation that if not satisfied will drive you right back to where you started. I'm talking of course about the munchies. So I gathered my strength and started walking to the closest store, and once I arrived, well, I ain't even gonna lie, my wallet was at the mercy of the Za, bro. So basically every food item I saw, my brain went, bro, see those Twinkies? That shit looks bussin'. Yeah, I know, but it's $4 and I already got like $25 worth of stuff in my car.
Nah, bruh. Screw all that. You buy this fucking bag of Twinkies or I'm giving you a panic attack right here, right now, bro.
Okay, I'll buy the Twinkies.
Yeah, of course you will. Well, while you're at it, take that cheese sauce for the nachos too.
Okay.
I will.
After my brain finished ganking the shit out of my wallet, I went back to my room and started demolishing everything I bought. And after that whole munch sesh, I was feeling a lot less high too, but also my stomach was a bit upset, so I took a massive dump, laid down on my bed, and started scrolling shorts. And I scrolled and scrolled until I passed out without even brushing my teeth and still in my clothes. So you can imagine the next day, I had a bit of a kush hangover, feeling like Shrek, haziness, and overall being slower mentally. But hey, no regrets, cause my brain wasn't lying about those Twinkies, goddamn.
Have you ever heard the term medical marijuana? Most likely yes. However, the real question is, what do you picture when you hear it? If you're imagining a serious cancer patient using cannabis to keep food down during chemo, you're technically correct. But if we're being honest, 9 times out of 10, medical marijuana is just Chad from down the street who paid $30 for an online consultation, got a card in 15 minutes, and now justifies ripping a bong every morning with the phrase, "It's medical, bro." But then again, it's not like cannabis is the only place this happens. Take ADHD and Adderall, for example. You've probably heard someone say, "Bro, I literally need Adderall to focus. I have ADHD." Sure, ADHD is a real diagnosis, but let's not pretend half the college campus didn't suddenly discover they had it the moment finals week rolled around. Adderall is literally just amphetamines. Yup, the same chemical family as the party drug people pop at raves to dance for 12 hours straight. So are these people really suffering from a crippling, incurable attention disorder, or are they just lazy, unmotivated, and conveniently enjoying the energy boost of pharmaceutical speed with a prescription label slapped on it? And here's where it gets even more interesting. ADHD isn't the only condition where this clash happens. Because medical marijuana is prescribed for everything from pain to sleep to anxiety to seizures, and Big Pharma already has its own drug for every one of those. So now the real question isn't just weed versus Adderall, it's weed versus Big Pharma, period. Which one's worse, sparking up a medical bowl to take the edge off, or swallowing the pharmaceutical equivalent that comes with a 2-page side effect list? Is it better to knock yourself out with Ambien or pass out with an edible? Kill pain with Oxy or just get too high to care about it? That's the comparison we're making today. One plant versus an entire multi-billion-dollar industry of pills. And just so we're clear, I'm not a doctor, but I'm gonna try my best to keep this as objective as possible, basing my conclusions on medical studies with just a little bit of personal experience sprinkled in for honesty's sake. We are going to go over all the major medical reasons cannabis is prescribed, comparing them to Big Pharma's recommendations, and by the end of it, we'll see who racks up more W's. Anyway, let's start off with the most common reason medical marijuana is prescribed, and that is chronic pain. When it comes to chronic pain, cannabis works like a background buff. It doesn't magically repair the problem, but it makes living with it a whole lot more manageable. A massive 2017 National Academies report reviewed over 10,000 studies and concluded there's substantial evidence that cannabis helps with chronic pain in adults. In plain English, it's not a placebo, it's not a stoner myth, it actually works, especially for nerve-related pain where over-the-counter stuff like ibuprofen doesn't cut it. Now, to be fair, opioids aren't the only prescription option. Doctors also hand out NSAIDs like Celebrex, antidepressants like Cymbalta, or anticonvulsants like gabapentin. They all have their place. NSAIDs can help with arthritis, antidepressants and seizure meds work decently for nerve pain, but they come with their own trade-offs. Stomach ulcers, brain fog, emotional flatlining, none of them are addictive like opioids, but none hit as broadly as cannabis either. Big Pharma's main weapon, though, is still opioids. Oxycodone, hydrocodone, morphine, these drugs absolutely erase pain, but at a cost. The CDC estimates that about 1 in 4 people prescribed opioids misuse them, and around 10% develop full-blown opioid addiction. They work so well at shutting pain down that they also shut down your ability to not be hooked. The side effect list isn't pretty either. Nausea, constipation that feels like a Dark Souls boss fight, and of course, the risk of overdose. Cannabis comes with side effects too, but they're more like inconveniences than life or death scenarios. Dry mouth, red eyes, occasional paranoia, and maybe demolishing your entire pantry at 2 a.m. The biggest difference is that no one's overdosing on weed. Worst case, you fall asleep halfway through a show and wake up surrounded by snack wrappers. The kicker? States with medical cannabis programs have actually seen drops in opioid prescriptions. A 2016 study
study in Health Affairs showed doctors in those states prescribed significantly fewer opioids, meaning patients were choosing weed over pills and still getting relief. That's not just stoner hearsay, that's data. So here's the trade-off. Opioids are still necessary for extreme situations like surgery or hospital-level pain, but for everyday chronic pain, cannabis can be just as effective without the Russian roulette of addiction and overdose. Other meds can work too, but they're either weaker or bog you down with side effects. One option risks turning you into a statistic, the other just risks you becoming best friends with the delivery guy at Taco Bell. So my conclusion is that although opioids are still medically very useful for end-of-life scenarios and extreme hospital-level pain, medical weed, in almost every other case where it's effective for the person, is a much safer alternative. So 1-0 medical Zaza. Next up, nausea and appetite, mostly for cancer patients going through chemotherapy. When it comes to nausea and appetite loss, especially in cancer patients going through chemo, cannabis is like flipping the God mode switch on food. Not only does it calm nausea, it also makes a subpar meal taste like a Michelin star experience. This isn't just stoner hype either. Studies show cannabinoids like THC are effective antiemetics, meaning they actually reduce nausea and vomiting. That's why synthetic THC meds like dronabinol are FDA approved for chemo side effects. Pharma's main option here is ondansetron, better known as Sofran. It works great for stopping nausea, but it doesn't do much for appetite. You'll stop puking, but food will still taste like drywall. There are also appetite stimulants like magistral acetate, which can put the weight back on, just not always where you want it, and sometimes with lovely side effects like mood swings or blood clots. Cannabis, on the other hand, handles both problems at once. It suppresses nausea and gets you hungry enough to demolish a family-sized pizza without hesitation. The side effects are mild by comparison: red eyes, dry mouth, maybe laughing too hard at a CBD bro video, and the data backs it up. In head-to-head studies, cannabis and THC-based meds often work as well as or better than traditional anti-nausea drugs, with the added benefit of appetite stimulation. That's two birds with one blunt, bro. So here's the trade-off. If you want something clinical and predictable, Sofran does its job well. If you need the double whammy, stop puking and actually want to eat again, cannabis is the more complete option. One keeps you out of the bathroom, the other gets you back in the kitchen. Honestly, this one isn't even close, and I can say that from personal experience. A close family member of mine went through chemo, and the only thing that actually helped was weed. Watching that, it's hard not to see the bigger picture. The fact that so many countries still refuse to allow medical cannabis in this exact context feels outright cruel. There are thousands of people right now stuck enduring the nightmare of chemo with no real relief, just because their government still treats weed like some dangerous street drug. It's messed up, but that's the reality, especially in places like Eastern Europe. Conclusion, weed racks up an easy W here. 2-0, next up, PTSD and anxiety. Anxiety, I feel it trying me. When it comes to PTSD and anxiety, Big Pharma usually offers you two paths. The first is SSRIs like Prozac or Zoloft, the slow burners. They can help over time, but it takes weeks or even months before you feel anything, and in the meantime, you're basically stuck in low emotion mode, like someone turned your life down to grayscale. The second option is benzos, like Xanax or Ativan. These actually work instantly, melting anxiety in minutes, but the catch is they're insanely addictive. Stay on them long enough and you don't just get relief, you get a brand new problem. Trying to quit them without losing your mind. Cannabis, on the other hand, works quickly for a lot of people. A puff or two can take the edge off in minutes, and unlike benzos, it won't leave you hooked. There's even clinical evidence to back it up. Studies show cannabinoids can help with sleep disturbances, nightmares, and hyperarousal symptoms in PTSD patients. A downside is that cannabis is a bit of a double-edged sword. The right dose calms you down, the wrong dose, and suddenly your anxiety has a new skin. Instead of worrying about the past, you're now convinced your microwave is spying on you. So the trade-off is this: SSRIs are stable but slow. Benzos are fast but risky, and weed sits somewhere in between. Quick relief without the same addiction danger, but a bigger chance of overshooting into paranoia if you're not careful. If you can manage dosage, cannabis can be a safe, effective option that doesn't leave you dependent on a pharmacy refill. Conclusion, I would personally give it to weed, but I feel like that would be more of a personal opinion here, so I'ma tie it 3-1 to Za. Next up, insomnia. When it comes to insomnia, Big Pharma's go-to is Ambien, and Ambien definitely works. It can knock you out hard. The problem is how unpredictable it can be. Some people just sleep like a rock, while others end up cooking full meals, online shopping sprees, or even taking the car for a spin in the middle of the night with zero memory of it afterward. Effective, yes, but a little like playing roulette with your own sleep cycle. Cannabis is a different story. It can help some people fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer, especially with heavier indica strains or higher doses of THC. Studies do back this up. Patients with insomnia report shorter time to sleep onset and better rest overall. overall. But here's the catch. It doesn't hit everyone the same way. Some people find it a miracle sleep aid. Others, like me, barely feel any sedating effect at all. And if you use it every night, tolerance builds fast and suddenly the knockout effect is gone. Side effects are generally less dramatic than Ambien's sleep driving risks. With weed, you're more likely to just doze off mid-Netflix and wake up surrounded by snacks. But there's still debate about long-term effects on REM sleep, so it's not exactly risk-free either. So if we're being fair, Ambien is a stronger hammer for forcing your body to shut down, but it comes with serious risks. Cannabis is gentler and safer, but not as reliable, and not everyone actually gets sleepy from it. Conclusion, I'm calling this one a draw. Ambien wins on raw knockout power, but weed wins on safety. Which is better really depends on the person, and for some of us, weed doesn't do much at all for sleep. 4-2, Zaza. Next up, Parkinson's. When it comes to Parkinson's, Big Pharma's MVP is levodopa, and to be fair, it works. It's the gold standard, reduces tremors, helps with movement, and has decades of research behind it. But long term, levodopa has its own dark side. The longer you're on it, the less effective it becomes, and the more weird side effects creep in, like involuntary movements that look like your body is glitching out in real life. Cannabis, on the other hand, is a lot murkier. Some studies and patient reports say it helps with tremors, stiffness, sleep, and overall quality of life. Others show little to no measurable improvement. Basically, the science hasn't caught up yet, but plenty of patients swear by it. The side effects are pretty mild compared to pharmaceuticals. You might get a little too relaxed, forget where you put your keys, or get the munchies, but you're not risking life-threatening complications. So the trade-off is this. Levodopa is proven, reliable, and clinically necessary. It's the main reason people with Parkinson's can still function day to day. Weed, at best, is a decent sidekick. Not strong enough to replace the main treatment, but potentially useful for symptom relief and quality of life. So Big Pharma takes the W here. Levodopa is still the king. Weed might be helpful as a backup, but it's not ready to carry the team. So we'll call this one 4-free, which this is getting really close.
The perfect high. A mythical experience, a rare moment in time where everything aligns and your brain briefly achieves Zen. For decades, no, centuries, scientists have tried to figure out the formula, the equation, the math behind the perfect high. Einstein even took a swing at it, proposing E equals MC squared, or experience equals method times cannabis squared. This was later accepted as a foundational law explaining how the universe works, just in a slightly different context than he intended. Now, the perfect high isn't really something you can measure, it's more of a concept than a measurable existence. It has just as much to do with your mindset, emotional state, and what you're doing as it does with the Zaza itself. In fact, achieving it requires such precise alignment across so many areas of life that the Declaration of Independence literally guarantees every human the right to pursue it. They call it the pursuit of happiness. Now, for all my fellow explorers who still haven't experienced this phenomenon, don't worry, I'm here to help. Because even though everybody's perfect high requires different prerequisites, the underlying concept is always the same. And unlike Einstein, who proposed his equation, I'm here to propose a different one, a superior one. You could even say this makes my brain superior to Einstein's. Hey, your words, not mine. So what's the formula? How did I come up with it, and why is it disturbingly legit? Well, for the sake of science, education, and let's be real, the furtherment of mankind, I'll explain all of it. So, without further ado, E equals T times ES plus A minus T, which sounds like absolute gibberish until it doesn't. Let's break down what each of these letters actually means and why this formula makes perfect, complete sense. E stands for experience, the high itself. The experience is what you actually remember. The perfect high isn't, I was extremely faded and therefore it was fun. It's when the memory itself is good and the high just upgrades it from a regular memory to a core memory. That's the goal. Not being obliterated, being present in something worth amplifying. T is for terpenes. Yes, shocking. The Zaza you're sparking matters. I know, revolutionary. But this variable is crucial because terpenes don't exist in isolation. They need to change depending on the other factors in the equation. There is no universal terpene profile that magically works every time. Different moods, different plans, different mental states require different chemistry. Trying to force one strain of lettuce to work for everything isn't science, it's laziness. ES stands for emotional state. This one is non-negotiable. How you feel before you spark up is exactly how you're going to feel, just louder. If you're already overthinking and then you spark some introspective philosophical za the day after your girlfriend leaves you,
Bro, you already know how that ends. What did I do wrong? Why didn't I see it coming? Am I ever going to love again? Your emotional state must be taken into account when choosing between a couch-locking Indicano or a universal ponderer Satovia. Otherwise, you're not getting faded, you're scheduling a mental spiral. A stands for activity. What are you planning to do after sparking up? Watch a movie, play a game, go for a walk, scroll brain rot, do homework, plan your escape from the Matrix? Because here's the thing, grass is an amplifier. It amplifies your emotions, your thoughts, and your fun. So if you're about to do something complicated, you probably don't want a strain that turns you into a melted Snickers bar. At the same time, if you're watching Family Guy, you probably don't want some heady lettuce that has you contemplating the meaning of life and your mortality during a cutaway gag. And finally, the second T, time, as in time of day. This one should be obvious, but just in case, let's say you spark up some heavy Satovia, super lemon haze, nighttime, vibes are perfect. You watch your show, play your game, everything hits. Now it's time to sleep. Except you can't. Your brain is doing 100 miles per hour like your plug laced your grass with Adderall. Now the night isn't remembered as legendary, it's remembered as the night you discovered insomnia. Same thing in reverse. You spark some Indicano Reggiano during the day, planning to link with the home dogs, but now the thought of standing up feels physically impossible. Sure, you might enjoy binging Stranger Things Season 5 in the moment, but once the high fades and your friends start snapping pics with the baddies, yeah, that's when you're suddenly watching videos titled, How I Quit Smoking Zaza and Got My Life Together. But to truly understand this magical formula, you need to hear about one of the rare times I personally achieved Zen. A moment where the universe aligned perfectly and I reached full Zaza nirvana. The terps were from a strain I had recently fallen in love with, Biscotti. If you know, you know. The entire vibe of that lettuce was chill. As in, kick back, do something low energy but stimulating, and just exist. Which lined up perfectly with my emotional state. I had worked out 3 days in a row, just finished making one of these amazing videos, and mentally it felt like Friday night after clocking out of a job I don't actually have. For the activity I went with a double whammy. I booted up an incredible game called Black Ops 7. Okay, apparently everyone hates it, but I didn't know that yet. Ignorance truly is bliss. And while gaming, I ordered Chipotle, which felt less like food and more like a scheduled delivery from the heavens themselves. And the time of day? Obviously nighttime. A classic CBD bro night goblin gaming plus munch session. Textbook. Would I call it my best high ever? No. But for what it was, with every variable lined up, it was absolutely perfect. No worries, no sudden emergency quests popped up, no spirals into the overall point of life, just faded and sweating my balls off to stay barely positive on the game. What a great time. Now, you might be thinking, you're just a lazy stoner. That would have been a so-called perfect high, no matter what. And if this were a courtroom and I were the defendant, this is where I'd want my lawyer to stand up and yell, "Objection!" Because I don't just believe this, I know it. If even one of those variables was off, that fade would have been anything but perfect. For example, replace my emotional state, which was chill, with my usual default setting, grind mode. Instead of gaming stress-free, I'd be checking my phone every 10 minutes thinking, one more game, one more, then I'll start working. Instant vibe killer. Replace the time of day, night, with daytime, and suddenly I'm hit with random side quests like pick up grandma, help with groceries, clean your room. Again, total vibe kill. Now replace the terps with something more energizing. Not only is there a high chance of light insomnia, but now I'm also frustrated because I'm getting absolutely slapped in the game instead of calmly accepting my fate, pulling out the cheesy automatic fire shotgun and camping without a single care in the world. So there you have it, the perfected formula. Einstein would be proud. Zaza myths. Grass cap, lettuce slice, call it what you want. Anyway, today we're going to go over the most common misconceptions about the magic green plant, which I'm willing to bet that you've fallen for at least once. Yes, you, Mr. Bro, this pack tested at 38%, so I'm basically entering another dimension. Okay, if you say so. So, how is it? Well, I'm high, I guess. Mouth is really dry though. It kinda tasted like dirt.
Certified exotic! So, for the sake of education and science, we are going to go over every Zaza myth from funny to dumb to dangerous, so the populace may have a better understanding of the magic green plant and avoid the risks they were subject to before. Whether you're a seasoned lettuce enjoyer or a rookie roller, these myths have been floating around since the dawn of the J, and even though people are a lot more informed these days, you'd be surprised at how many people still believe that higher THC percentage equals stronger high. This is probably the most common rookie mistake in the lettuce community. People walk into dispensaries like they're buying a protein shake. And what's the strongest thing you got? 35%? Give me that! Sure, percentage does play a role in how high you get. It's kind of the main character, but the number on the jar doesn't tell the whole story. You could blaze something labeled 33% and feel absolutely nothing but dry mouth and disappointment. Meanwhile, something with 17% might have you reconsidering your life choices mid-snack. Why? Because there's more to the plant than just a number. How it was grown, how fresh it is, what it smells like, all that matters. Some packs hit because they're balanced, not because they're built like a calculator. Also, quick reality check, those percentages not always real. Growers know people chase high numbers, so they send the frostiest, most photogenic nug to the lab. They don't send the potentially dry, crusty stuff you actually get in the jar. So what you're really buying is lab-tested optimism. Think of it like this, choosing based on percentage is like choosing music based on how loud it is. Just because it's loud doesn't mean it's good. Then again, if you have a favorite song and you play it louder, it's gonna hit better, if you get what I'm saying. Usually, you want something that doesn't just blast you, you want something that actually feels right. So yeah, the number matters a little to the extent that a 6% pack is going to be mellow and anything between 15 to 25% is going to hit normal. But beyond that, it's just marketing. So don't let it trick you into thinking you're buying magic, otherwise you'll keep paying $60 for mid in a shiny bag. Which next one is something I believed in myself up until just a few months ago. Indica equals chill, equals energy. Put you in the couch, bro. Get you creative and energized. Yeah, not exactly, at least anymore. That whole equals sleepies equals Zoom thing is Zaza astrology. It sounds deep until you realize it's mostly vibes and guesswork. Back in the day, indica and sativa meant something botanically, like plant shape and how tall it grows. But now, after decades of crossbreeding, everything is basically a smoothie. You're not smoking a pure sativa. You're smoking some hybrid mutant with 6 parents and a confusing childhood. You might get an but it makes you vacuum your room at 3 a.m. or but it has you melted into the couch watching YouTube documentaries about ants. It's not about the label, it's about how your brain reacts to whatever is actually in the flower. Also, most of these strain labels are just marketing now. The same lemon blaster you buy in LA might be a completely different plant than the lemon blaster from your guy in Detroit, but they both swear it's sativa because the bag is yellow and has lightning bolts on it. To be fair though, you do have a higher probability of getting a chiller vibe with indica and more of an active vibe with sativa, just that it's not always the case, and a lot of times an indica strain can make you just as productive as with sativa. A lot of it is also just in your head. Like, if you're a daily smoker and smoke sativa during the day and indica at night, you're gonna feel like you're more productive with sativa because every time you use it, you actually plan on doing stuff, compared to indica where you plan on, well, just hanging around. But this next one might be the most dangerous misconception out of them all, and that is, you can't overdose on grass. Ah yes, the ultimate stoner defense mechanism. You can't overdose on Za, bro. It's impossible. It's natural. Chill out. Technically, yeah, you're not gonna flatline from lettuce. There's no grass version of the he took too many and never woke up story. But let's not pretend you can't go way past the point of good vibes into I'm dying, call my mom territory. You can green out, you can white out, you can throw up, panic, forget your name, think you're in a dream, and try to call 911 on yourself using a TV remote. But sure, not an overdose, just a deeply humbling spiritual reset. It usually goes like this. You take an edible and it's not hitting, so you take more. Then about 45 minutes later, your soul leaves your body and watches you pet your wall for emotional support. Congratulations, you're not dead, but you are definitely not okay. So no, you won't overdose in the technical sense, but if your definition of overdose includes uncontrollable sweating, time dilation, thinking you're stuck in a loop, and trying to breathe manually, then yes, you very much can overdose on Za. Especially with long-term
heavy use, which can cause psychosis, so just because it's a plant and there's that famous fact of like, oh, you need to smoke 200 pounds of Zaza to overdose, doesn't mean you shouldn't be mindful of your consumption, which kinda takes us to grass makes you lazy. My teacher once told me, boy, you smoke too much of that lettuce, you'll never do anything with your life. Meanwhile, there are programmers, artists, chefs, and athletes out here doing their taxes while baked off their mind on something called
Purple Monkey Dirt Nugs.
Let's be clear, Zaza doesn't make you lazy, you make you lazy. Grass just lowers the volume on your internal monologue enough for you to enjoy doing nothing. If you were already a couch potato before, sure, lettuce might just butter you up and serve you to the couch gods. But some people take a hit and immediately get the sudden urge to deep clean their bathroom or organize their sock drawer by emotional trauma. The truth is, how you react depends on your brain, your tolerance, and whether you just hit something calming or smoked a strain called Nightmare Jetpack. Also, not all laziness is bad. Sometimes the reason people seem lazy after smoking is because their brain finally isn't on fire and they're just chilling for the first time in days. That's not laziness. That's peace, baby. So no, Zaza doesn't make you lazy, being a human in late-stage capitalism does. Grass might just make it more comfortable to stop pretending you're okay with it. It's just a plant, so it's always safe. This one's popular with people who think putting a leaf emoji next to anything instantly makes it healthy. Bro, it's natural. It's from the earth. You can't get hurt by something nature made. Okay, cool. So are poison ivy, nightshade, and grizzly bears. Nature doesn't care about your vibes. Nature is not your plug. Yes, lettuce is a plant. So is hemlock, so is ayahuasca. That doesn't mean you should roll it up and smoke it every morning like it's a spiritual multivitamin. Natural doesn't mean harmless. It just means it didn't come from a lab this time. Now, for most people, grass is relatively safe, but let's not pretend it's some invincible superfood. You can still develop tolerance, mess up your sleep, get dependent on it to function, have a panic attack mid-cartoon, or blast off into a full psychotic break if you overdo it for too long. And let's be honest, most people aren't smoking pure organic, forest-grown artisanal flower, they're ripping mystery carts from some guy called Seke with a shoebox business model. Even flour itself isn't always clean. It can have mold, pesticides, or be so dry it turns to dust if you breathe on it wrong. So yeah, it's a plant, but that doesn't make it invincible, perfect, or immune to consequences. You could take a salad and turn it into a problem if you tried hard enough. Bottom line, lettuce can be chill, but like anything else, too much of it too often with no self-awareness equals problems. And saying it's natural won't help you when you're halfway through a green out wondering if your dog is judging you.
If you've ever bought from a plug, you probably know about that teeny tiny voice in your head that goes, what if it's laced, bro? And although 99% of the time, that's just you being paranoid, the other 1%, it might be warranted. Which brings me to the time I was dead certain the grass I bought was laced. But you know, I still smoked it. The day started like any other. I woke up, ate my Captain Crunch, worked out, made some videos, and now after a productive day, was looking for some Zaza to smoke up and watch some Elon Musk vs Zuckerberg fight breakdown videos. Personally, I got the Reptile King on this one. Anyway, the bad news was, I was out of grass. And even worse, the plug I usually buy from wasn't answering, so I had to get creative. First, I tried to scrounge up a hit from smacking the shit out of my grinders and using a card to move it together like I was about to do a line in the back of the nightclub. But alas, after all my effort, I was left with only a smidgen of a hit that was 50% dust and dirt. So although I really didn't want to do it, I knew I had to start asking around for a new plug. And so I did. And after about 30 minutes, I was given the Snapchat of a seemingly high-level devious criminal. And I concluded that by his Snapchat username, which was free straight money emojis. And I'm guessing he chose this name just so everyone knew. I am a drug dealer and I make a lot of money. I shot him a message reading, yo, can I get one? Hoping that he would respond, unlike all my other plugs. And just a few minutes later, I was blessed by a message reading, yeah, nice. All I needed to do now was ask when and where, which he responded swiftly with an address that was very close. So I hopped in my Urus. Sorry, I have a Lamborghini Urus. Yes, this is a fact. Spread the word, guys. And pulled up on the spot where I was expecting to greet a killer tattoo. Nah, actually, I'm too experienced now. I knew it was gonna be some high school kid. They're the ones who always use emojis for their plug Snapchats. And it was exactly what I thought. A scrawny looking kid with glasses pulled up, dropped the bag in my car, and dipped. Well, I also gave him the money, but nothing really different or alarming had happened during this altercation. As I was driving back home, though, I took a quick little sniffington from the bag, and well, that shit was smelling a bit sus. I
can't quite describe the smell cause it did stank like good Zaza. There was just a certain chemically fragrance to it as well. But regardless, I brought that Zaza home and before I smoked I did a bit of googling.
How to know if your grass is laced? You can tell if your bud is laced by putting it in water and seeing if anything melts out of it.
Bruh, ain't no way I'm putting this grass in some goddamn water.
Ah, fuck, it seems good to me.
So yeah, I didn't really practice a lot of precaution. I mean, worst case scenario, I accidentally smoked crack. But anyway, I loaded up the hit and took a smack dabbly do off that thing. And at first, I couldn't really tell nothing was wrong. I mean, I was on the couch feeling like a medium rare filet mignon, but that's just being baked. Until I suddenly started getting real paranoid for no reason. Like, not paranoid in what if it was laced, but paranoid in... Hey, what the fuck was that? Hello? I'll have you know I'm a certified demon hunting boxing champion, bruh. I'll knock your nun-ass out in an instant. Oh, hell nah. And yeah, you saw correctly. This Zaza got a grown-ass 6'6" athletic specimen of a man to go under his blanket cause he thought he heard a monster, bruh. And I swear, for the entirety of the night, I was low-key hearing things like I was an inmate in Arkham Asylum or something. So, safe to say the whole mellow me out part was negated by the paranoid demon fearing. At some point though, I got a serious case of the munchies, and I knew I had to leave my safe zone, aka my blanky wanky, and go downstairs to raid the fridge. And so I did, but this fucking dimensional rift grass got me bugging out, bro. I was feeling like I was 7 years old again, afraid of the boogeyman coming to take me away. Thankfully, I was able to tweak my way to 2 hood dogs and a couple sugar sandwiches. Recipes I developed myself. Watch the video in the top corner if you want to know more. But once I got the food on my plate, I ran back upstairs being real careful not to stay in the darkness for too long. Basically, I was this old Vine video. Worst part was though that this so-called laced grass didn't let me sleep either. Like literally, I almost pulled an all-nighter looking like Golem up in my room. Until at 7 AM, I did finally somehow hit the hay. Anyway, this is the only time I ever actually believed grass to be laced, cause it just seems unprofitable to actually do that shit. But I'm still not sure, it might have just been some mighty paranoid demon grass. I guess we'll never know, cause the experience was awful enough for me to flush that shit down the toilet. RIP 0.8 Gs, bruh. And obviously, I removed that new plug from my friends list, cause I'm not trying to be the victim of our town's first supervillain, cause if that shit was indeed laced, no way I'm about to go buy some Joker gas from Dollar Store Heath Ledger again. The 5 levels of being high. Now, I bet you've seen a couple videos on this topic, maybe even mine, but since almost a year has passed and my knowledge and understanding of the magic green plant has grown tremendously, I thought it's about time to make the ultimate, definitive, most precise levels of high tier list on planet Earth. And to make it even more fun, for every level, I'ma be getting more high to give an accurate representation of what the level feels and sounds like. So let's get it started with level 1. Microdosed. This is the level where you don't really feel anything per se, but you can tell something is different. You have a slight mood boost and your body might feel a bit more elevated. So like if your legs were sore, they're probably even more sore now, but if you're lying on your bed, well, its comfortability is probably up about by 10 to 15%. Nothing crazy, but it is noticeable. This, however, isn't enough to give you the giggles. So that Amy Schumer comedy special will still leave you wondering if my vagina is actually comedy or just poorly done slapstick humor. And since I'm currently at this level, I can tell you it also has no negative side effects, so I can still do everything without worrying if I'm too high. Anyway, let's move on to the first exciting level, and that is level 2. I'm feeling it. So you're feeling it, eh? Well, me too. This is the level where that Amy Schumer special might actually forcefully steal a giggle or two from you, but not because it's actually funny, it's more like you're laughing at her rather than with her. Anyway, since you're now feeling it, you also might be feeling that movie a bit more, or that video game. Shit, you might be feeling your own jokes a bit more. Got you laughing at your own thoughts, fool. This is also the optimal high if you still got stuff to do. Well, to be honest, if you got stuff to do, probably better to not be high, but at this level, it's still definitely doable, just a bit more difficult. Another way to look at it is, this is the high the workers at Subway are usually on, although I have seen mofos way beyond this there too, but for the most part, this is optimal cause the loud hasn't got you moving slow-mo quite yet. As for me, me, I'm still able to read this script and pronounce my words just fine, so you probably can't even tell I'm high right now. But now it's time to get to the first level where a mofo can feel too high if he's not experienced. Level 3. Yeah, I'm pretty high. So here we are, pretty high. This is the point where, at least for me, doing anything besides leisurely activities is hard. Not impossible, nor undoable, but hard. If we take that Amy Schumer comedy special for reference again, as for some reason I like doing, it might just maybe have become funny, but you also realize you just high, so you turn it off and watch something else. Also, this is the first level where some thoughts might have become uncontrollable in the senses you just can't help but dive deeper into the fact that the bomb dropped on Hiroshima was almost 1,600 times less powerful than the Tsar bomb created and detonated by the Soviets in 1961 as a show of power to the US. But then you find out there's something called an antimatter bomb which could be even more destructive, but it's only a theory, but then maybe the US is developing it in Area 51 or something. Yeah, I think you get the point. But there is one sensation that is more powerful than your random thoughts, and that of course is the munchies. Coupled with the fact you're probably rocking some dry mouth right now, this in my opinion is the best level to be at if you're trying to stuff your face with enough trans fats to feed 50 hungry children. But you know, you already ate it also. Anyway, moving on to level 4. Faded beyond belief. This is the point where if you're not in a safe space, you kinda screwed. Well, not always, but at this level, it's become almost impossible to practice rational thinking. I mean, if you were diving deeper into that nuclear bomb stuff at the previous level, then this is a point where you might start actually believing you are Oppenheimer himself. This stage is really not the best if you're looking to focus on a movie or video game or really anything because, well, your attention span is at the mercy of the Zaza, and to actually enjoy this high, you just gotta go with the flow. As for me, it's getting pretty hard to read the script. If I look at the words for long enough, they kinda look like some ancient Chinese hieroglyphs. But anyway, if you're an actual lunatic, maniac, psychopath, Zaza destroyer, and considering hitting that gravity one more time, then be prepared for level 5. Shadow Realm. I told you, bro, you gotta be a maniac to get to this level because the plane of existence you on now is so different from being non-high, you probably feeling and looking like a goddamn alien. I mean, bro, your eyes are so red and you feel so disconnected from your body that if you look in the mirror, you'll probably think, bro, is that really me? I'm so fucked up. Wait. Ah, shit, I'm in the Shadow Realm again, aren't I? And now that you realize you're in the Shadow Realm, you either stop the trip by going to sleep, or level unknown, exploring the Shadow Realm. This level doesn't require smoking more. All it really requires you to do is just go outside and explore the world that in many ways has become the upside down from Stranger Things. Cause at this level, rational thinking has been completely thrown out the window and your brain has reverted to factory settings as of when you were just born. So if you see a streetlight flickering, for example, if you were normal, you just think, they really should fix that. Compared to now, oh shit, bro, this is totally one of those slasher scenes where once I walk over the streetlight, he's gonna shift me up, isn't he? Nah, man, fuck this, I'm out of here. At least, I don't know, that's how it feels to me when I achieve the pinnacle of high and am wandering the world outside.
Imagine you ate a bunch of mushrooms, sat down and waited for them to kick, but as you were waiting, your homie gave you some acid. You sat there a bit longer, and just before everything started coming up, you smoked a massive bowl of some couch lock exotic za, and then boom, it all hits at once. That right there is how I describe DMT to someone who's never heard of it, because instead of gradually ramping up, DMT kicks down your mental door with a sledgehammer made of neon lights and screams. There is no build-up nor gentle come-up. 1 second you're in your room, the next you launch through the fabric of reality like a screaming missile. You might meet entities that feel more real than your landlord, and they'll communicate in emotions, telepathy, or geometry. Then just as quickly, you're back
back on your couch like nothing happened, except you're sweaty, humbled, and questioning whether any of this or anything ever was real. But that's just DMT, the psychedelic equivalent of being booted out of the universe, given a cosmic PowerPoint presentation in a language your soul barely understands, and then drop back into your body with only a vague memory and a racing heartbeat. Knowing all that, you might understand why DMT has been one of the few psychedelics I've truly been scared to do. Not because I feared addiction or really any of the usual worries, but because I truly thought that I might not come back from this as the same person. But hey,
if you do it, you will talk to intelligent beings from other dimensions, for real.
Joe Rogan did it and he seems fine. So, for the sake of education and science, I will be sharing my experience with the king of psychedelics. No wavy hands here, a true out-of-body experience with cosmic figures, ghosts from my past, and an ending that truly left me questioning the reality that I saw versus the reality that I live day to day. But as a disclaimer, do not do anything in this video. It's all just a funny, entertaining, and educational stickman story and never actually even happened. I am a stickman. Anyway, it all started where I feel like these things usually start. Los Angeles, California, the city of angels and the homeless. I was staying in LA for 1 month, and I was your typical tourist. penjamin in one hand and a Starbucks coffee in the other, walking on Santa Monica and Venice Beach, observing some of the most unique and, well, weird people I've ever seen. One guy was walking around with dreadlocks down to his knees and a live parrot hanging around his shoulder. Another smacking 10 blinkers of a pen in front of the metro before going in, sitting down, opening a Nutella jar and raw dogging the whole thing with his fingers, sitting right next to me, mumbling stuff like, Nutella. Then reaching my destination to play street ball, only to be picked up by a dude who had allegedly made $200 on the boulevard that day by doing backflips for money and then spending said money on his preferred combination of highs to play basketball. Shrooms and coke. Why I'm telling you all this is because I'm trying to get you on the vibes I was on for the month I stayed in LA. Normality became warped. Is this guy trying to rob me or is he just tweaking off crack? Being in situations like that nearly every day really warped my fear detector parameters. Whereas the first week, seeing a bunch of fent fiends camped out in tents staring frightened me, on week 4 I just waved at them and smiled while ripping some Cali exotic frontal cortex destroying Zaza. But through my days of journeying around LA, I had visited many dispensaries until I found one that I grew to call home. Weeks of buying Zaza went by, and I had built a pretty solid relationship with the owner there. I showed him my videos, and he showed me some of the famous people he's met, like Snoop Dogg. Until one day, on my last week there, somehow the topic of DMT came up. He had done it before, I had not. I explained my adventures in Amsterdam, bugging off mushrooms and Zaza, my heroic dose journey, etc., to which he replied, "You're ready." And after a few minutes of back and forth of me explaining why I'm a bit scared to try it, he ended up convincing me with 3 simple words. Sick video idea. Damn it! He's right. $7 for eggs? I need that ad revenue to survive. My quest had begun. A true legendary at CBD Bro adventure, because he told me that he does not have DMT himself, but a buddy of his owns a smart shop near Venice Beach, and if you go there and say John sent you, they'll hook you up. I had been given a real-life oblivion quest on some...
You must travel to the faraway beaches of Venice, where there lives a powerful shaman. Once I find him, I must utter the code John sent me to progress the quest.
So I got on the nearest bus to Venice and started journeying there. After about 1 hour, I was dropped off and had a 7-minute walk to the DMT plug. When I arrived there, the shop was nearly empty, with only 2 stoner-looking dudes hanging around, and the clerk didn't seem too happy by my presence. But I gathered my courage, walked up and said, "Hello, do you guys sell DMT?" John sent me? And as I uttered the words of the legendary John, his face went from, "Get the f*** out of here, you fed," to, "Oh, John sent you, of course we have DMT. What you looking for, a pen or the real natural stuff?" Shit. Well, give me the natural stuff, I guess. Good choice. Here you are, and you know what? It's on the house. Just come back tomorrow and let us know how it went. Free? On the house? Tears of joy dripped down my face as I hadn't heard those words ever since I arrived in the US. Now, I was locked in. I grabbed the herb and bust myself back to my 3K a month rundown studio apartment. An absolute banger of a deal if you ask me, and got myself prepared. I firstly watched a couple videos on the first time doing DMT, and found this very popular one where it was explained that you have to smoke it 3 times, but that after the first hit, you're not gonna wanna do anymore, yet you must push on if you want to get the true mystical experience. And since I knew I probably won't be doing this stuff ever again, I decided that I just had to go all out. I packed 1 bowl ready and set aside 2 similarly sized doses on the table to be added in after I finished the initial bowl, and well, I got down to business. I ripped my first hit, and right after exhaling, my room started shrinking. I swear the walls started closing in on me, and it's like everything got some top tier Minecraft shaders and a texture pack. I was way screwed up, but there was also a guiding voice, very similar to the video I had just watched.
Whatever you do, don't stop. You have to keep going. You have to get that 3rd hit.
I'm not shitting you when I say I felt like my only way to salvation was to get to the 3rd hit. I rushed to pack the 2nd bowl, all while I still saw the walls closing in. It was like a time trial.
Okay.
The world around me started violently collapsing and vibrating like there was a glitch in the Matrix and I was about to be pulled out. It was so freaking intense, honestly, there's nothing I can even compare it to. I was screwed, I was tweaking, not having a fun time. I did not want to smoke more, but then through the chaos, my subconscious was screaming, "Finish what you started!" At this point, my arms were literally melting, but not in a particularly scary way. It's hard to explain, it was more cartoonish. I struggled to load the last bowl and fought my conscious brain every step of the way there. But I got it ready, and I smoked it. I smoked the whole thing, and I was simply not there anymore. I slumped back on my couch and just fell into a void of moving colors, weird shapes, and creatures. But even though I had never seen any of this, it all felt very familiar, like I had been there before, kind of like when you have a super vivid dream that weeks later you struggle to remember if it was real or your imagination. After a bit of time, the flickering colors and shapes stopped, and I landed in my childhood room, sitting in front of my monitor, and it was like all the colors and shapes were actually in this monitor, and I just zoomed out and I was sitting on my old chair staring at this screen, which was like a gateway to this colorful DMT universe. But even though I was not in the DMT portal anymore, my room was still super weird. Like everything seemed to be as I remembered it, but I had an odd feeling that something was not right. Everything seemed correct, but wrong at the same time. And then through the door to my room, in came one of my old friends, Salamander, but he was different. Like it was an alternate parallel universe version of him, and he was wearing this Matrix-style robe and just kept saying, "You are where you belong. You are where you belong." But I was like, nah, this bad trip fake-ass salamander, so I ran towards him and tried to give him the 1-2. But as I ran at him, he disappeared, and so did the room and everything behind me, and I fell through the doorway into this endless freefall of darkness that was surrounded by computer code detailing my whole freaking life. Events that I lived through, written out in some JavaScript language, like my whole existence was just a game with preset events programmed in. Eventually I stopped free falling and was just standing there staring at all this code around me in existential dread when a calming yet ominous voice echoed from a distance, "Now that you know, can you ever go back?" And snap! Just as I flew into this void via flashing colors and weirdly familiar shapes, it pulled me back the same. I opened my eyes and I was wide awake, clear-headed as I've ever been, staring around my room in shock. Holy shit. It felt like it was over before it even started, and although I was left feeling a little bit frightened from that ominous final message, overall, I was just in shock that there exists a plant with such tremendous power in pulling out your subconscious mind and leaking it all to your conscious mind. I had a sense of mental awakening, but also like I knew something I shouldn't. Shit still freaks me out to this day. Really, the only thing I can compare it to is some ultra vivid lucid dreams I've had, and even those those were more grounded in the reality we perceive day to day. DMT isn't your average psychedelic like psilocybin, which adds a layer on top of reality. DMT is its own reality, its own plane of existence, and for that reason, I probably won't be doing it again. Although I am very curious about the mysteries it presented to me, I also know from previous experience that trying to get answers to these mysteries just end up giving you more mysteries. But then again, I don't know, maybe DMT is different.
I don't know about you guys, but I swear, these days whenever I go outside to catch some fresh air and enjoy the glory of the sun, I'm instantly greeted with mofos triple tapping the Elfington like it was a raid boss. Young, old, fat, ripped, it don't matter. Everybody consuming the Nick some way or the other. Shit, not even our goddamn elementary schools are safe. 12-year-old kids be waking up one day and just being like, you know what? Today seems like the perfect day to get an awful addiction that I will regret for the rest of my life and struggle to control daily. Yeah, better hit up Jimmy too. Maybe he wants to join in. But not all nicotine addicts are the same. In fact, there are a lot of different perspectives on the whole addiction aspect. But one of the worst types to be is the dude who never admits he is addicted. We all know a dude like this. Mofo be sucking on the penjamin 24/7 or stuffing pouches under his gums every 5 minutes. But when asked if he is addicted, he always hits you with the,
"Nah, bro, just the fur. I can quit whenever. I just don't wanna right now."
Like, what you mean you don't wanna? Bro been consuming so much Nick, his brain has literally turned into a damn elf bar. And when you tell him to prove it by, I don't know, not vaping for a week, they always hit you with that,
"Man, I ain't gotta prove nothing to you. You don't know me, what I've been through. I'm a dog. I'm a killer."
Now, it's okay. It's gonna be okay. Even though this dude kinda stubborn, I feel for him. Cause who really wants to admit they can't stop? But this next dude, I don't feel bad for at all. The guy who seems to think it's cool to be addicted. Okay, no one thinks it's nice to be addicted, but I mean, that's what this guy pretty much is. They think vaping makes them cool, and therefore shames others for not wanting to. In reality, pretty much every other nicotine consumer will tell you to never start doing it, and that it's much cooler to just breathe air. So, therefore, this guy is, or at least should be, hated by everyone on planet Earth. And if you ever catch a mofo pushing vape into a homie, just run up on him and slap the shit out of him. Kick him in the balls while you're at it, or I don't know, at least spit in his face or something. Fucking asshole. But enough of this hobgoblin, let's move on to the dude who smokes cigs. Okay, this might offend some people, but cigs are goddamn disgusting, and I'm pretty sure they're even worse for you than vaping and nicotine pouches, although don't quote me on that. This guy lives and dies by, "It's all natural, bro," and proclaims, "At least I know what's in it." Like, sorry for hanging on to hope that just maybe, I might not get cancer, cause this dude already marked his calendar for the good old iron lung. Not much to say except for, man kinda smells, so 1 out of 10, never touch nicotine, let alone cigs. But now it's time for the occasional addict. Okay, this one is near to my heart, cause sad to admit it, this is kinda me. This dude doesn't have his own vape or pouches or cigs or anything, but that doesn't mean he isn't addicted because he still consumes Nick whenever he's offered or the opportunity arises. Speaking from experience, this guy kind of in limbo cause even though there could be weeks, even months when he doesn't touch the Elfington, but then one day he might go somewhere with the homies and do something like this. You wanna hit this? No. Okay. On second thought... So yeah, even though it's a seasonal addiction, it's still an addiction. So call yourself out every time a nicotine addiction moment happens. But time for the last one. I only consume Nick when I'm stressed.
So, you only hit the Puffington when you're stressed, eh? So, what qualifies as being stressed? You lose your job, you get robbed, you lose your car keys, you stub your toe, you experience a mild inconvenience of forgetting the lights on in your room, so now you have to go all the way upstairs to turn them off. So yeah, as you can see, this one is kind of a slippery slope, cause believe me, the more you mess around with the Nick, the more you're gonna be in moments like this.
What? That's so... Man...
Unfortunately, it's all a ruse, cause in reality, you only consume Nick when you feel like it. So you're addicted, just like everybody else. And a word of advice, don't start vaping, okay? It's not good for you. Blinkers. Getting faded. A now respectable and honorable pastime that is indulged in by all types of people all around the world. Athletes smoke up, construction workers smoke up, subway workers smoke up, well, at this point, I'm starting to believe that's part of their job agreement. But anyway, everybody seems to be puffing on that grass in 2024. Though, it wasn't always like this. I don't know about you, but for me, just 10 years ago, getting high was shunned upon by society, and doing so painted you out to be a junkie. Boy, must those accusers feel stupid now, when these days you can literally walk into a gas station and buy an eighth of OG skim cooked by Kim Kardashian, walk out with a blunt in your mouth, stroll by the police station high as fuck, and finish your day at the public park by taking a shit. Okay, that last part is still very much illegal and, well, disgusting, but you get my point. With the amount of celebrity brands out there and half of the US already legalized and European countries catching up too, weed really is Gen Z's alcohol replacement. But it isn't all good. The rising growth of the Zaza industry has also spawned some products that seem to kind of defeat the whole all-natural aspect. Hello sir, what can I get for you today? Yeah, I'm just looking for something to get me faded before I go top golfing tomorrow. Oh yes, best product for you is this. It has 3 gram THC, 2 gram HG, 1.5 gram of THC, 4 gram THC, and to top it off, 0.5 gram gas. Bestseller and lasts you very long. Yeah, I just want to get a slight buzz before I make a fool out of myself at top golf. That seems like it's a bit too strong and, well, unnatural. No unnatural. Gas is for strawberries and PO is for headache. All good. But I understand you want good relaxing high. I have pre-rolls. Oh, nice. Yeah, those would probably work. Good. So here is Gorilla Destroyer Infused Keef covered 7 gram Vibe Elevator by Selena Gomez. Retail price 100, I give you for 70. Bro. So unfortunately, like with all good things that capitalism touches, without proper regulations, things can get out of hand fast. But if you do a little bit of research and properly react to red flags, aka if a disposable has 4 different types of synthetic, it's probably not the best purchase, even if the retailer does say it is best selling. But things are moving on the right path. Well, maybe not path, but at least like general direction. Back in the day, getting quality weed was hard. I mean, you needed connects, a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy. You needed to be a part of this criminal underworld just so you could pack a bowl at the end of your day and play Super Smash Bros, brah. These days, all you need is a debit or credit card, access to the internet, and a mailbox. Or just a smoke, which I'm all for, cause unless you were lucky enough to have a super rare type of plug, the friendly neighborhood plug, as your Zaza retailer, getting weed felt like a RuneScape quest. I remember back in high school, my only plug was this dude who, besides grass, also dabbled in some, well, let's say less natural and even though I never gave him any reason to suspect that I would be interested in buying his pure that didn't stop him from trying to upsell me every chance he got.
What's up, man?
What's good?
Here's the you requested.
Thanks. Can you let me out now?
Sure, but first, try out my new product. It's called Fanta.
What's that? It's like a new strain?
Nah. It's Fanta. It's Fanta. What are you doing?
Oh, don't mind me. I'm just calling the cops on our town's first supervillain, you scumbag. Like, what's hard to understand? I just want the za. Please stop trying to get me hooked on your South American products, bro. But it isn't all good now either. If you're in a non-legalized state or country, you'll mostly get your za from online or smoke shops, which finding a good, reputable, non-overpriced shop is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Shout out to not bro. It took me near 10 different shops in Florida to find one that checked all the boxes. And even then, you gotta pray that they don't run out of stock on the brand or product you trust and know to be gas. Cause I don't know about you, but there really ain't many situations in the world that can bum you out more than buying some Zaza and saving it for the end of your day only to realize, bro, is it just me, or did the oregano we smoked in high school smack hard in this 2-gram infused premium pre-roll? Yeah, nah, this shit more red than pine tree stems. Thank God I brought the meth. Some of these brands are just straight finessers, and it's up to you to discover the ones that aren't and whose stuff actually gets you where you're trying to go. But you also gotta keep in mind, there's levels to getting faded, and depending on what level you at will determine the type of grass you'll be looking for. There's always some dude who comments on the $5 pre-roll budget micro J listing like,
NGL, kind of disappointed. Smoked this after 3 dabs, barely felt higher. 0 out of 10.
Of course you didn't feel nothing. The product wasn't even marketed towards you. Some people just don't realize how deep the iceberg of tolerance goes. If you can manage to do even one big dab and not geek the fuck out and just chill, there ain't no amount of budget on planet Earth that'll get you where you trying to go, bruh. Shit, my man could be in the middle of that Far Cry Free scene where Jason has burned down the farm. Instead of running away, he'd be out here critiquing the quality of the
mid.
What I'm trying to say is that to avoid the 7 deadly sin disappointment, make sure you don't cheap out on your Zaza unless you know your tolerance and experience allows it. Like, I ain't a heavy destroyer, but even for me who smokes up once a day, at the end of the day, those $4 pre-rolls just don't get me that high. Or do cheap out. Just don't blame me when you get home, smoke up, put on some Adam Sandler, and Adam Sandler ain't funny no more. Thinking about, maybe I'll put on the news.
The baby will be born, and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby.
No! Did he say they're executing the babies? Executing? These reality TV comedy networks always get me, man. But hey, at least you don't have to be risking jail time no more, nor even be involved in illegal dealings with your old plug. Unless you had a professional plug who over the years became a true businessman and did the good old switcheroo, aka removed the first 2 letters from his business model while not changing the type of business he conducts at all. Gotta love capitalism. Although, I gotta admit, back then the Zaza just felt more exotic cause what I had to do to get it. I've grown so accustomed to all these fancy strains, I've low-key forgotten the days of, what's up, man? So, you got the stuff, the good?
Yeah, of course. Here's the Zaza.
Smell is pretty mild. Kinda crumbly, too. You got anything else, man?
Yeah, sure, I got Galaxy Gas. What you need?
No, I mean like a different strain. Strain? Where you think we are, California? Be happy with what you getting, man. Next dude is leaving this car with this 1/8 of oregano. Motherfucker. Shit, okay, man.
Yeah, bro, I'm hooking you up right here. This shit's straight from Hawaii. Galaxy Super Gas. This shit will have you risen up level 10 gyats in no time, bruh. Just make sure they don't phantom tax it too.
Sunrock, the most powerful grass that humanity has ever conjured up, with even its less potent relative, Moonrock, being so extreme that Snoop Dogg says it's too much. And since I had once already traveled to the moon and made it back alive, barely, I saw it only fitting for me to conquer the sun as well. But unlike last time, where I was in Amsterdam with my brother and had the comfort of tweaking together, this time I was alone, nearly 6,000 miles away from home, in the city of sin, Las Vegas, Nevada. The story kicks off a couple days after I had hit my first blinker and discovered a new realm of high. You know, kind of like Columbus when he discovered America, but unlike Columbus who annihilated the indigenous people, I was annihilating the Zaza, you know, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, after seeing firsthand what the land of the free can offer in terms of getting obliterated beyond the realms of Mother Nature, I was quite intrigued. So, out of curiosity, I decided to Google strongest weed you can get in Las Vegas, just in case there was something more potent than Moonrock, which up until this point I thought was the pinnacle of bud. So after stumbling upon an article comparing the rocks from the moon and sun, I realized that in my ignorance I had crowned a false king, and the only deserving punishment for a big smarty pants weed stickman YouTuber like myself was to feel the full wrath of the true strongest weed in the universe. I hopped on the local Las Vegas weed dispensary site in hopes of having it delivered to me like the penjamin. But either due to current weather conditions or just the delivery man greening the fuck out, it said, "We are currently not providing deliveries." But for the time being, I had no other choice than to leave my apartment and go to the closest dispensary in hopes of them having this exotic nug in stock. Only problem was that it was night and, well, your boy wasn't exactly staying at Caesar's Palace, so as I was preparing to go outside in the dark, where, mind you, I saw a guy walking around wearing a safety vest, rocking a handlebar mustache, and carrying a double-barrel shotgun the night before, I just had to take a quick rip from the bong to make it a high story, you know?
Okay, 2 miles that way. Wish I had a car. Guess I'll just run. Fucking bullshit.
A few minutes later.
Hello, sir? Oh, yeah, hello. You guys have something called Sunrock? It's like, nope. Just sold the last stock. Those guys bought it. We got Moonrock, though. No, I've already done that. You know where I can get some Sunrocks, though? Yeah, the store a mile from here should have some left. Okay, yeah, thank you.
A few minutes later.
Sorry, I gotta see your passport first, bruh.
No, but this is like my government-issued ID, can you—
Look, I'm sorry. We have a lot of people visiting from banana republics these days, and we can't start selling to everybody with a rinky-dinky, "this is a real country, Google it," ID card. Come back with a passport and I'll hook you up.
I'm not from Banana Republic. We made Skype.
Hello there. Yes, I had to now walk back 3 miles, get my passport, walk another 3 to get the Sunrock, and then walk another 3 back home. And mind you, I had already ran 3 miles too. So you know, of course, cause your boy fast as bull, quick as an electrical jolt, I got an Uber back home. But now I was fresh again, so of course I put on my Space Jams and I got an Uber. But then when I was there and showed my passport, received my $80 weed, I was not trying to get robbed on the walkway filled with homeless camps in Las Vegas fiends, so I got an Uber. Finally, after wasting a week's transportation budget in 40 minutes, I was back in my apartment, Sunrock in hand and rolling papers in my pockets. And yes, unlike last time with the Moonrock, I wasn't about to smack that shit from my bong and get assimilated. Cause from the blinker I had done a couple days back, I learned my lesson about concentrate. Do not underestimate it. So I rolled me up a Slimmy Slimmer, basically a very small J. And something you might not know is that with these caviar nugs like Sunrock, you're not really supposed to grind them with a regular grinder, so I just used my fingers to break the nug apart, and because of that, well, let's just say the airflow on this J was god awful. Later on I would find out you're not supposed to smoke Sunrock from a J at all, but hey, you live and you learn. Anyway, I went to my patio and attempted to light this abomination, and I mean, it really was. Imagine taking some A4 Wagyu steak and serving it in a dirty bucket, but alas, I still... The first puff, yes, the goddamn first puff got me drafted in a galactic war against the Matrix. And I think that had to do with the fact that Jay only had like 3 puffs in it, cause I was basically just smoking straight nugs. But I decided for the legacy of CBD, bro, I shall do another puff. The French Revolution, the Napoleonic Wars, the moon landing, the splitting of the atom, the theory of relativity, it all flashed before my eyes because I now saw the world from an interstellar position. And I would love to say I now went on some grand adventure and discovered the Holy Grail with some Las Vegas crackheads, but this was different. The high was spent glued to my couch, wondering the meaning of the universe and how I had traveled 6,000 miles across the ocean and was now sitting on a couch in some random Airbnb completely and utterly blasted beyond human understanding. After about 15 minutes of doing literally nothing but staring at my wall, I decided to watch some YouTube and found this guy called Oversimplified who makes these historical animation videos and spent a good portion of my high learning about the history of our world. Too bad I don't remember a goddamn thing, but at the time I felt like I was really becoming a damn scholar. I guess the lessons and memories of that high are waiting for me once I return to the land of the sun.
Where am I?
Man, I told you not to smoke that Sunrock. You stuck on the sun now, fool, with the rest of us.
No! Oh, no, wait, that was just a dream. Damn, I'm fucked up.
Yeah, bro. You were in a hell of a kush coma.
Yeah, I guess I was. Wait!
Bro, I got stuck in a kush coma, my dudes. Shit was crazy, and I don't actually remember the exact dreams I saw, but they were pretty trippy, and it was one of those inception things that had me waking up from a dream into another dream, son. Safe to say, I had gotten assimilated. But it was kinda nice, cause it was a real clear high without anxiety, which usually when you get that obliterated, it always comes accompanied with just a little bit of anxiety at least. So, are Sunrocks stronger than Moonrocks? Yes, but the main thing I took from this high was that they also kinda better. 10,000 BC, a group of cavemen in the Oki Islands of Japan needed some warmth and wanted to start a fire when they discovered a funny looking green plant, and either out of curiosity or desperation took it and inadvertently created history's first ever hotbox. Yet this early grass was not that loud that people be smoking today, because as we know, over the years the Zaza has been scientifically and artificially cultivated to be much more concentrated in the high it gives. So although it is funny to think about a group of cavemen purposely starting a fire in a small shelter for the sole purpose of getting faded in a hoe, it is unlikely that it actually ever happened. Yet aside from this iffy recreational stint in Japan, hemp was first commonly used in the lands that are modern day Mongolia and China for more practical uses like eating it. Which, after saying that, you might be imagining something like this. Yo, what's up? How you doing? Had any fun with those new seeds I gave you?
Yo, nah, I actually came here to give them back. Last night I was looking at the moon and I swear that motherfucker was looking right back at me.
But alas, this probably wasn't the reality because the THC levels in this early cultivated Zaza were just really low, but soon the Chinese would discover that the holy plant's fibers were also great for making stuff too, like clothes, paper, and bowstrings. Which turns out hemp fibers were superior to the bamboo ones used by rivaling factions, allowing the Chinese to shoot their arrows much further. So basically, back in the day, if you were having a long distance bow battle and were losing, you might have screamed out, "We need to get closer! These motherfuckers have weed!" Anyway, it wasn't long after when mofos realized that the loud wasn't only good for making stuff, it was also great for treating physical maladies. And after a couple thousand years, Emperor Shen Nung, known as the father of Chinese medicine, included the magic plant in his medical encyclopedia under the name Ma. Which, that sounds oddly similar to Za, doesn't it? I'm guessing every couple thousand years the first letter changes or something. But now, let's explore the question we're all asking. When exactly did mofos start ripping that shit to get faded? Well, one of the earliest counts is about 2,500 years ago, when researchers discovered 10 mini barbecues in a cemetery near modern-day Tajikistan that had residue of burnt cannabis with a much higher concentration of THC than normal, probably meaning it was selectively bred to get you, well, lit. Although this was one of the first counts of people purposely inhaling the broccoli to get high, it was most likely used as part of a ritual to invoke an altered state of mind so you could communicate with spirits.
Which shit, dog, I wanna know what these dudes were smoking, cause I ain't never heard of no grass that gets you to the spirit realm.
This might have low-key been the last kush Snoop Dogg smoked, cause once you get so high you start communicating with your dead gran-gran, that's when you really might be like,
okay, I think it's about time I stop smoking this shit.
Since cannabis, for one reason or another, proved to be quite the useful plant, people started trading it around the world as soon as it was domesticated. Which the only people who didn't really fuck with the Zaza were Europeans, who preferred getting hammered instead. Which is low-key reflected in modern times too, especially in the northern countries where once you turn 18, you can drink as much poison as you want, but if you want to blaze, well, you might be looking at a little bit of jail time, my boy. But now, let's quickly go over the uses of cannabis throughout different cultures so we can move on to the modern age, starting with Hindus. They made something called bang, an edible cannabis paste that had medicinal properties but also got you high. This could be added to a variety of foods and drinks, which this bang was the preferred food of the Hindu god Shiva, making him in my eyes the god of edibles.
Disclaimer, that was a joke.
Islam. Here the Za was called hashish and was introduced about 1,000 years ago, which hashish wasn't strictly forbidden in the Quran at first, so a lot of Muslims ate it for its medicinal and relaxation properties. But later, Egypt basically banned it, and also the Quran was revisited by many and reinterpreted to include hashish to be banned just like alcohol. The Vikings. These dudes basically used the Za to make rope, sailcloth, and other things, but also for its medicinal properties, mostly to relieve pain, and to date, there's no hard evidence that they consumed it for its recreational use, but, you know. Maybe they should have, because they were quite the horrendous savages and murderers, so it might have made them think a little bit about peace and love. But what about America, England, and the actual global world powers? How did they react to weed? Well, again, like the Chinese, Europeans and Americans at first prominently used the magic green plant in the 16th to 18th century for more practical things like making sailcloth and rope, which the plant itself grew much larger in the New World soil, and combined with the practicality of it, everything started being hemp-derived. Clothes, paper, well, basically anything that required fibers. But the question still remains, when did mofos start smoking that shit to get blasted on the regular? Cause although at some point you, your neighbor, your grandma, your boss, and even George Washington were out here growing weed, wasn't nobody out here rolling them up. Well, until the arrival of Mexicans. The loud version of hemp first arrived in Brazil in the early 1500s by way of enslaved Africans traveling with the Portuguese. And the native South Americans, who are already consuming some other psychoactive substances, quickly started blazing the Zaza too, and its use soon spread across South America and into Mexico, from which in the 1910s is when the loud first spread into the US via Mexican immigrants escaping the effects of the Mexican Revolution. And almost immediately the good was viewed as a threat, and by 1931, 29 states had banned its use. Although it wasn't really the Zaza that the US didn't fall with, it was unfortunately mostly just racism against Mexican Americans and black citizens of the South, which both these groups were enjoyers of the Zaza to some regard, so it became a scapegoat for racial bias in the US, and they blamed it for everything from petty crimes all the way to murder. And in 1937, the US completely banned all non-medical use of weed, which all this kind of explains why the mostly peaceful plant has been thrown in the same Schedule 1 category with full-on life-destroying substances like heroin and cocaine. But thankfully, a couple decades later came the hippie movement of the 1960s to 1970s. This is what lightly sparked the comeback for weed, cause unlike before, when the Zaza was mostly smoked by Mexican immigrants and black citizens who the US was massively racist against, the hippie movement had middle-class white American youths start blazing too. Which it was all about love, peace, spirituality, non-violence, and of course, every hippie's favorite, recreational drug use. Although most hippies were all about peace and love, that was quite easy to say when most of them were literally privileged enough to drop out of college, run off with Cassandra in a rainbow van, go on copious amounts of mindset-altering trips, mostly powered by LSD, and then return 10 years later to their parents and have them say,
"It's okay, son. I was young and stupid once too."
Anyway, although the grass was still federally illegal, this didn't really do much, cause in 1976, 1 in 8 Americans over the age of 12 admitted to smoking it in the past 30 days. Hippies though were especially interested in cannabis, so much so they went on something called the Hippie Trail, which was basically an excursion by the youths of the world to go over to the Middle East and India, all while riding in magic buses and discovering new ways to get absolutely blasted, such as smoking the concentrated Zaza resin known as hash. But acquiring the Zaza would soon get much harder, because you see, most of it came from Mexico, so in 1969 the US started patrolling the border, and in 1975 they got even more aggressive and started spraying herbicide on Mexican weed plants. And so good old supply and demand made grass prices skyrocket, which a lot of people started then growing the plant themselves in mini greenhouses, closets, bathtubs, storage units, basements, wherever they could. But then in 1982, Mr. Smarty Pants Ronald Reagan took it even a step further by encouraging the streamlined arrest of anyone in possession of an illegal substance, which was really dumb because most of the focus was on pot, all while crack, meth, and heroin were all still being transported and consumed on a regular basis. Even worse, this enforcement seemed to be racially motivated because despite plenty of traffickers and consumers being white, the majority of arrests were Latino and black youths, all while this bizarre over-focus on cannabis allowed the growing opioid epidemic to go unchecked. But thankfully, the US is slowly learning from their mistakes, where today 24 states have legalized the recreational use of marijuana. On top of that, the increased level of research on it has also found multiple medical use cases and can be prescribed to you by special doctors if seen fit. And although the Zaza is still federally illegal and a Schedule 1 drug, the overall perception of it has changed for the better, including in December 2022 when President Biden signed a bill to make it easier for researchers researchers to obtain plants for their studies, which will hopefully accelerate the learning of positive and negative side effects of consuming the Zaza even further. But all that aside, the overall vibe towards the loud has gotten a lot more accepting, and these days more and more people view the smoking of the grass not as you being a junkie, but the same way as having a couple beers with the homies on a Friday night and watching some WWE.
The first high, a core memory, and whether you enjoyed it or not doesn't really matter, cause for 95% of people, their first time literally shapes their entire opinion on the grass. Almost everybody who isn't age 50 or over and says, "Weed is the work of the devil, and should be more illegal than even meth." Well, actually it is. The Zaza is Schedule 1 and meth is Schedule 2, so...
Yeah, that's right. That's why I love America. Greatest damn country in the world.
USA! USA! USA!
Anyway, what I was saying was that most people who tweak their first time are put off by it for a while and shape into Zaza haters, and people who have fun their first time, believe it or not, don't all become mindless junkies who eat Little Caesars and watch SpongeBob all day. Rather, when asked their opinion on weed, they'll probably just say,
"My stomach turned into an endless void with an unquenchable hunger for anything edible, which was followed by a sleepiness so uncontrollable I passed out halfway into my 25th Twinkie." It was pretty fun.
So obviously me, CBD bro, who runs an entire YouTube channel dedicated to the green plant, must have had the latter experience, right? Well, not really. As you see, when I was but a wee lad, uncontaminated by the forbidden fruits of the world like alcohol, nicotine, and yes, weed, always believed that alcohol makes you homeless, nicotine makes you a little bitch, and weed makes you lazy. Thinking that, I didn't want to waste not just my first high, but my very first time feeling anything besides normal on eating Doritos and watching Family Guy. Which, after turning 17, I decided it was about time I lost my substance virginity and planned to do so on Christmas dinner, where I was gonna let El Marijuana put its big, fat, thick, juicy, delicately rolled J in my mouth, but only after I had eaten, as I believed if my tummy was full, I wouldn't get the munchies and could instead contemplate the meaning of life my time high. And thankfully, I had an older brother who was more than willing to give me a puff or two from his Christmas dinner J for $4, the fucking cheapskate. So we went upstairs and started puffing, which Rezex was instantly bamboozled from the magic grass. Nice, it's not a dud. Now it's my turn. I grabbed the J and puffed until I could puff no more. And the result was, I didn't feel a damn thing. Still had to pay the $4 though. Fucking bullshit. Anyway, as we went through the day, I got increasingly more jealous of my brother, who by his words was fried AF. I was beginning to think maybe I'm immune to getting high, which after telling my brother this theory, he concluded that I'm stupid and just didn't inhale the Zaza in my lungs, and so generously told me to follow him upstairs, where he gave me a couple more puffs for an extra $4, the damn venture capitalist. As I was smoking away, keeping in mind to inhale it all the way down to my lungs, I still wasn't feeling anything, and my hopes of getting fried AF were beginning to look more like a distant dream. When I finished puffing, I sat down at the computer to look at some of those watch while high videos, and my brother asked me, "So, you feel anything now?" No, I don't. What's this weird I'm not sure. I don't know, seems to me you're fried like some Kentucky chicken, boy. I was indeed fried, and incredibly so. Although I didn't smoke a ton, my body had never experienced anything besides a sugar rush and maybe a caffeine kick. So as I was watching this watch while you're high video, I was laughing at everything and was tripping the fuck out. But not in a bad way, it was freaking amazing. Being high was what I always imagined it to be until... Bloop. I'm sober again. Yeah, you heard right. My first high lasted like 30 seconds, and in an instant, I was back to normal, which I don't know why. Even to this day, when I tell people about this, nobody can relate because no one has experienced this phenomenon. But since I'm a scientist, I have developed a super duper concrete theory backed by quantum mechanics and the late great Stephen Hawking on my experience, and overall the reason why a lot of people who smoke their first time don't feel anything. I theorize that all humans have a natural
natural block against foreign substances, a wall per se, and when an individual inhales Za, the particles act kind of like micromissiles targeting your cannabinoid receptors. For the people whose defensive wall is strong enough, it will stop all perpetrators attempting to infiltrate your brain. But this wall isn't regeneratable, so if the micromissiles fail to get you fried at first, the next time they'll have an easier time against your already damaged wall of defense. Now, I bet you're thinking to yourself,
this mofo been smoking too much of that Einstein pack.
And to you, I say maybe, but also I have practical proof of this theory. I used to be a pro baller, and one day me and a couple hooper friends who all have great immune systems and therefore probably good Za defensive walls decided to smoke up, and to my buddies, it was their first time. Once we lit the J and passed it around, I made sure to tell everybody to inhale the smoke in their lungs, which I'm pretty sure they all did, but still, I was the only one who got high, cause it wasn't my first time. But when I smoked up with some of my non-athlete first-timer friends, they all got high like normal. So, conclusion, defensive Za wall is a real thing and I stand by my theory. Anyway, although that was my first time feeling high, I wouldn't call it my first high because it only lasted for half a minute. My first real high experience was something even more memorable and etched to my brain until I die. A couple weeks after the last incident, me and Rizx decided it was about damn time I actually felt the true loving touch of the Mary Jane. And this time, instead of having only scraps of Za, we bought a whole gram to hopefully destroy my highly speculative Za wall. I think it's real. Also, at this time, we were obsessed with freestyle rapping, so we decided the plan of action was to smoke up, eat candy, and rap battle to copyright-free beats while recording it so we could listen to our unreleased tracks in the morning. Since our parents were away for the night, we got the whole apartment to ourselves and planned on rolling 2 J's, both containing 0.5 Gs. Since we were petrified at the thought of getting caught blazing, instead of being sensible and smoking the J's near a window and just blowing the smoke out, we put our jackets on and walked 500 feet away from the apartment to light up, just to be sure that there wouldn't even be a microfiber of evidence that we were smoking the devil's lettuce. As we were consuming the J, all I could hope for was that this time I wouldn't just get a limited free trial, but the actual full version. But alas, when we finished puffing the J, I again felt nothing, or at least that's what I thought, cause as we arrived back home, I finally realized that,
so you feeling it?
Yeah, kinda. Sometimes the high hits you a couple minutes later, especially if you're going from outdoors to indoors as we did. And my highly accepted theory in the science community about this phenomenon is that through evolution, we have always considered indoors to be our safe zone and outdoors dangerous. Therefore, when you're outside, your brain doesn't allow the full faded and relaxed effect to take over, probably in anticipation of a roadman coming and chefing you up with the mandem. Okay, this one I'm not so confident in, and I have to come clean. I am in no shape or form associated with the science community. Yet. Anyway, now that we were high and in the living room, we started putting on some beats and freestyling, and to this day, I have yet to replicate the skill and precision of my flow that high. It's hard to explain, but nowadays, I can't rap for shit. I mean, I'll spit one line and be like, yo, I've been getting money making racks, cause you know I'm flipping packs. That's facts. Yeah, that's it. Basically, I run out of rhymes pretty fast, but that day, I did not. In fact, even when my brain had nothing to say, my mouth rapped it for me. I turned into a freestyling robot and became dead sure that I was gonna make it out by dropping a mixtape and becoming a famous rapper. Until we listened to the recording in the morning and realized, yo, flowing on the go, your girl she a hoe, making money dancing with a pole, my girl making dough while doing lines of blow, cause we in the penthouse, baby, living life, and that's for show.
Yeah, I'll try YouTube instead.
What's crazy though is that after that, I was never able to replicate the auto-rapping again, so my rap career never flowered, but who knows, maybe I'll try to convert this channel into lyric videos and shitposting, all while steadily alienating my audience and killing my channel. Or maybe I should just make a separate channel for that? Nah, that's dumb.
So, have you ever smoked on a night before school or work? Well, I have, a couple times actually. It's usually pretty chill. I wake up in the morning with energy and a good mood, drink some coffee, and yeah, it's great. But this story is about when I was working at a gas station as a summer job, and the one time when I smoked a bit too much and was still baked in the morning. It all started when me and a friend decided to blaze up and watch some YouTuber boxing.
I don't remember exactly who was fighting, but because I live in Europe, I had to stay up until 3 AM for the match to even begin. So, here we are, pretty baked, it's 2 AM, the match is gonna start in an hour or so, when my friend has the genius idea to smoke some more, because he wants to be suited for the match. Well, I'm thinking, why not? I got work in like 10 hours or so, that should be enough time to calm down. After doing the hit, I was pretty gone. But I wasn't freaking out or anything. I was still confident in my assessment that I'll be fine in the morning. So we watch the fight, everything is chill, and I go to sleep about 5:30 AM, giving me a whopping 6 hours of sleep, which is fine. But when the alarm rang in the morning and I got up, well, let's just say I wasn't sober. Hell, I wasn't even high. I was still baked. At this point, I was a little worried. Not just because I had work in an hour, but because my shift was with two of the most try-hard gas station employees I've ever seen in my life. And well, I knew if they understood I was high, they'd 100% report me to the manager. Now, I could have just called in sick or something, but to be honest, I didn't really care too much if they fire me, and at the time, with my baked mind, I was low-key feeling like a secret agent on a mission to infiltrate this gas station and gather intel. So I ended up going. I arrived about 3 minutes late. Not a big deal, right? I swear, the second I walked in that door, those two tryhards were eyeballing me, like I was trying to rob the place or something. Anyway, I walked past them and said hello, and it seemed to me like I was in the clear. One of them said something like, "Hello, sleepyhead." I don't know, to be honest, I was 100% concentrating on acting natural, so I don't remember much about any social interactions I had that day. But yeah, I was on cooking duty that night, meaning I was making the fast food while the others were checking up customers and stocking shelves and whatnot. Also, because I was still pretty high at this point, in my mind I was a Michelin star decorated master chef, making these hamburgers, hot dogs and fries, putting my blood, sweat and tears into them. And I swear, people were loving the food I was making. I even overheard a girl say to her friend that this tastes better than usual, and not gonna lie, that made me so happy in that moment that my hard work was being noticed. But as we know, all good things must come to an end. And there I was, having the time of my life, making delicious fast food, when tryhard number 1, the big G, let's call her, says to me that I'm making the food wrong. Pretty much we had a recipe book that had specific instructions on how to make the food, and well, I was kind of ignoring it a little bit, by putting in, let's say, 50 grams of lettuce instead of 30. Not a big deal, I thought, but I guess it was. So now the big G has effectively taken all the joy from this job. And well, I'm pretty bummed out. As a way to be a little prick, I decided I'm going to make the food all slow-like. And not gonna lie, I got enjoyment from watching the big G having to suck up to customers because their orders were taking so long. And when the big G told me to make the food faster, I just told her I don't know how to make it correctly and fast. So she had two options. Let me make it my way or the slow way. And well, she decided my way. So I ended up making food for the entire day, and it was pretty fun. Obviously, after like 3 or 4 hours, I was pretty much normal again, so yeah. I think we've all been to a carnival at least once in our lives. They are usually very, well, fun is the wrong word to describe it. I'd say interesting, I guess. So when my main man Salamander hit me up a couple years back and was like, "Hey yo bro, have you been to the town square? It's that time of year again." What time of year? New Year's a ways away, bruh. Nah, bruh, even better. What could be better than New Year's Eve? Bro, the Carnival. The Carnival? Yeah, man, the Carnival. That's kinda gay, bruh. Man, shut up, fool. You just mad cause you ain't got no hoes. You ain't got no hoes either, man. What about that girl at the party last week? Bro, you were so wasted you ain't even remember that it was the host's mom trying to escort you out. Fool. Okay, whatever, man. You wanna come or not? Yeah, I think I'm gonna pass. Shit's a waste of money and I'm dead broke. We can get high before at my place, you know. Shit, why you ain't say that before? I'm in. I love the carnival. I've always loved the carnival, man. Salamander had kind of a funky home situation, so a lot of times he had a completely free house, which meant that getting high there was always awesome, cause there was just so much to do in that big ass house. Anyway, I pull up to his place, and if you saw my last video, you know that this man rolls the most perfect spliffs in existence, and this time was no different. Bam! Whips that big old thing out. No homo. And we puff that ganja stick till it's a stinger. Honestly, we probably smoked half the filter too, cause in high school, weed was so valuable that even when you could clearly tell there ain't no Zaza left, someone was always like, "Hey yo bro, what you doing? There's a good 2 to 3 puffs left in that thing. I'ma hand bong it." All you, bro. All you. Anyway, we get zoinked and I'm honestly feeling good. Like I ain't smoked too much nor too little, but just right. For now. We start walking to the carnival and I'm starting to get more high. But I know that's just cause I ain't laying on the couch eating Oreos no more and I'm actually outside embarking on a quest with my guide Salamander. So we get to the carnival and man, this place ain't what it used to be. I guess that's probably cause all of the animal right movements and stuff, but it looks like a retirement home for washed up circus clowns. Speaking of clowns, there was obviously also a circus show that was gonna be happening soon, so we went ahead and bought some cotton candy and popcorn and sat down waiting for it to start. Hey, it's starting bro, check it out, this finna be fire. And the way mans was hyping it up, I couldn't help but get a little excited too, cause after all, I do have some great memories of circus shows from when I was a kid, and as we all know, there ain't no better combo than Kush and nostalgia. Except for maybe Kush and Twinkies. Anyway, they start announcing the show. Ladies and gentlemen, what you have all been waiting for, the tamer of lions, the conqueror of the jungle, the one and only, Magistro! Bruh, who the fuck is that guy? Man looks like Joe Biden's less successful brother. Shit, man, you right. I might have overhyped the carnival a bit, I guess. You wanna leave? Nah, bro, it's alright. This finna be funny as hell. Maybe I'll even do a flip. Now, there are 2 ways something can be entertaining. Either it's well thought out and executed, or it's a complete disaster and so bad that it's good. And this carnival show was the latter. We were sat there laughing like maniacs from how much they hyped this man Magistro up on everything he did and how anticlimactic it all turned out to be. Even though it did hurt to watch my childhood memories of lions jumping through fire hoops and acrobats doing quadruple backflips whilst riding on a horse destroyed by the one and only Magistro, it was still funny as fuck.